Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have 30 fall Dollar Tree DIYs for you from the Crafty Vault. The DIYs today all have a little bit of a coastal twist on fall, and I really hope you enjoy today's video. I picked up just a Dollar Tree pumpkin sign. It doesn't matter what it is. I just wanted a pumpkin that had a stand, and I want to be able to DIY it myself. So I just popped off the little pumpkin that was on there. This has like glitter and fabric and a little raffia bow on it. I don't really want to have to pull the fabric and stuff off, so I'm just gonna kind of paint over everything. It's gonna seal in all that glitter, kind of hide the fabric and everything. And I thought the fabric would give me something nice to attach the seashells to, because we're going to be making a seashell pumpkin for this one. The color that I'm using is, I think, cashew and chalk paint, just to give me a nice like tan background, something that's going to kind of blend in and go more with the seashells that we're going to add to the front of this pumpkin. I did tape off the base of it, so I didn't get any paint on that, but I do wanted to stress it a little bit. I just wanted it to be the way I wanted it to look. So I just go over that dark wood that's on there, and I just dry brush some of that light color on it to kind of give it more of a driftwood vibe down there. So it's not quite so dark and contrasting against it. Now for the seashells, I'm going to use the Dollar Tree seashells. These are the ones that come in the little glass jars. I know they can be a little tricky to find anymore at Dollar Tree. And so another option is to get them on Amazon. I got a great big jar of them the other day on Amazon. You get like 1,200 of them. They're pretty inexpensive. And I have those linked in my Amazon shop in the description of today's video too, if you need some little tiny seashells like this. But you could always use some larger ones if you wanted. I wanted tiny because I want this pumpkin covered with them. So I do my first row like that. And then for my next row, I'm going to kind of try to nest them in a little bit in between them, sandwiching it all together, covering as much of the pumpkin as I can. And I'm trying to use like all the same colors. I had a lot of this color, and so I thought I would go with that. As you can see, you know, they are different shapes and sizes, but that kind of adds to the beauty of this project. And it does take a while to hot glue these on. I'm just putting hot glue on the top arch and gluing those on. And you do have to kind of try them on for size first to make sure they're going to fit. But I'm going to speed this way up because it is a little bit time consuming to glue all of these on. But I absolutely love how it turns out. Anytime I can encrust something with shells like this, I think it looks so beautiful. And seashell crafting is always fun. Whether you buy your seashells like this or find them at the beach. Now, if you wanted yours to be more colorful, you could kind of switch up the colors. As you can see, the ones that I have from the Dollar Tree were pretty much all about the same kind of color. Some of them had a little bit of gray in them here or there, which I used those too, just because I thought that was fun. But again, I wanted them all to be a little bit different from each other. Now, when I get to the pumpkin stem, instead of doing shells on that part, I thought I could build it out a tiny bit with just some popsicle sticks. So I just cut the ends off a popsicle stick, and I can kind of make the pumpkin stem go off to the side like this. And so I'm just going to attach one of them on the front and one of them on the back like that. And it's going to extend the pumpkin stem over to the side. And then I can wrap it with some Dollar Tree twine. I thought that would go good with the coastal fall aspect of the sign. Just going to remove this tag back here. I'm going to attach the twine right here at the base with some hot glue and just wrap our new little pumpkin stem. And I'm glad I did that because this sign in particular has just a really small stumpy pumpkin stem on there. And I wanted to give it just a little bit more character. Since I'm wrapping it, you won't be able to tell that there's different pieces of wood in here and that the popsicle sticks in here. It kind of makes it all kind of flow seamlessly. When I get up here though, I do start adding some hot glue just to kind of make sure that it doesn't fall off as I make that transition. And especially when you get like to the tips and stuff like that, you're gonna have to use some hot glue to kind of finish it off. But I think it's looking really cute so far. What do you think? I really enjoy fall DIYs. I think I've probably done more fall DIYs on my channel than I've done anything. It's just so much fun to decorate for fall. And anytime I can incorporate a little bit of coastal into it, it's great too. As you can see, my Dollar Tree pumpkin sign was a little bit off center. I did try to kind of bend it back and forth. You really can't tell on the final project though. For the little pumpkin tendril, I just take some of the Dollar Tree wired jute and just wrap it around something round to give me a little curly cue. And then I'm just going to attach it back here to the back. That kind of twine, it matches in with the twine being the wired jute like that. Having that go off to the side a little bit. And then I always like to add like pumpkin leaves of some kind. I had a little bit of this greenery left over from I think a Target dollar spot greenery that I had, but it has these really cute little green leaves, so I thought they would be perfect. They're not too bright. And again, I don't like to necessarily do traditional fall colors all the time for my fall DIYs. I just glue one like that, and here is our little shell pumpkin. Really cute, just a little time consuming to glue all of those seashells on there, but as you can see, they look really beautiful. It really adds a lot of character to the piece. And the fact that that pumpkin had the material in the back, it almost gives you like a burlap background being painted that color. Really cute. I really like that one. Very classy as well. I hope you're enjoying today's video. If you are, be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'd really appreciate it if you would hype this video. Now for the next DIY, I thought let's try a coastal fall terrarium. So I'm going to use a Dollar Tree candlestick. This one is like light blue on top and white on the bottom. So I thought that would go beautiful with my coastal theme. And then one of these jars from the Dollar Tree. I love these. They're nice and big. I'm going to flip mine upside down and make a terrarium. And so this is going to be the top. So I'm going to have to get rid of this super sticky sticker on top and clean it up a little bit. But basically, we're going to turn the jar upside down. We're going to display it on the candlestick, and we're going to fill it in with like a blue succulent and some pumpkins. So once I got that all cleaned up, I wasn't too impressed that the circle wasn't centered there on the top, but that's fine. And then I'm going to go ahead and start decorating the base. Now it's already stainless steel, but I wanted to add a little bit of texture to mine. So I'm going to use some burlap ribbon. And I got this great burlap ribbon at Pop Shelf the other day. I haven't seen this size at Dollar Tree, but it works great for something like this. It was $2. And so I just glue that around the rim of my lid. And that gives a nice beachy burlap feel to that. That's going to be the base of our terrarium that's going to attach to the candlestick. Now, it was a little bit of an experiment putting this together. I knew I was going to need some foam, and I wanted to do blue, so I'm going to use one of the little blue succulents from the Dollar Tree. It is on this really large stem, which I don't really need, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove the tag and kind of take this apart. And then I can kind of attach everything to the base. Now I'm going to use pumpkins. I use one of the little ivory ones from the Dollar Tree, and then I had a little tiny orange one from the Target dollar spot that I thought would be great too, to add a little bit of orange to it. I take some floral foam from the Dollar Tree and I just cut down a square that will fit inside the lid. It's not going to quite fit inside the jar though, so I am going to have to trim it down. And my goal here is to kind of carve it to kind of make it look like a rock. That way I can boost up the succulent and the pumpkins. And then we're going to fill in the rest of the terrarium with sand. Now I went ahead and hot glued mine to the base, but you might be better off without doing that. I'm not sure. I did have a little bit issues from that here in a little bit.
but I am going to carve it down a little bit more where it's a little skinnier at the top, kind of like a stone sticking out of the ocean like that. That way I can cover that all up with sand. I won't have any sharp corners or anything sticking out. Now for the succulent itself, I'm just going to do a little hot glue on the stem and push that down into the foam, kind of towards the back of the terrarium. And I've done beach terrariums on my channel before, but I've never done one for fall, so I thought this was fun. Now for the pumpkins, I just use toothpicks, and since they're made out of foam, I can just put the toothpicks right through the bottom. And we're just gonna stick those one on each side of the little succulent. And then we're gonna fill the rest of the terrarium up with sand. I kind of wanted to do shells in there, but I knew I was going to have to do a lot of shaking and stuff like that. And I thought I would probably bury any of the shells that I put in there anyway. So I think that the sand and, the succulent is going to give me that beachy vibe I'm looking for. Now, I didn't hot glue the pumpkins, and I kind of felt like I probably needed to because to get it to all stay in place. So I just hot glued the little toothpicks in there. And that is what we have so far for the terrarium. Now, if you had a larger jar of some kind, you could even add more, but I think that's all that's going to fit. Now, to fill the jar, I'm going to use Dollar Tree sand. I had a bunch of it. This is the tan sand, and this is kind of the tricky part. You have to try to figure out how much, the stuff is going to displace the sand. So I put an amount in there, and I'm going to try it. And spoiler, I did put a little bit too much in there, so be careful with how much sand that you use, because I did have to take it back apart. But I went ahead and set it on there. Now, gluing it to the base is kind of tricky at this part, like screwing it on, getting everything to move while it's buried in sand. So I don't know if you need to glue it to the base or not. Now, to attach the candlestick to it, I'm going to use some of this cement adhesive from the Dollar Tree and just do it around the rim of the candlestick holder. And I am going to do hot glue in the middle to try to give me some fast hold, but otherwise we're going to rely on that cement to glue the ceramic to the metal. Just sit that on there. I did have a little bit excess adhesive gluing coming out the sides. Now, I probably should have checked to see if my sand was right before I did this step, because it probably would have made it easier, but I didn't. So you might want to, flip yours over and check yours first. So I flipped mine over and I'm like, yeah, there's too much sand. See how my pumpkins are buried? Like my succulents okay, but my pumpkins are definitely buried. So I just unscrewed the lid and we're going to try to adjust it. And as you can see, the hot glue doesn't really hold when you do the spinning. So that's kind of be expected. So I dumped out a little bit of sand, and then I'm just going to go ahead and reattach. I did hot glue again, even though it's probably not necessary. And then just screw my lid back on, and hopefully that is the right amount of sand now. So I flip it over. You want to shake all of it down. It's kind of like a snow globe, right? Kind of have to shake it until you get your little beach terrarium that you want in there. I want my sand higher in the back by where my succulent is, and kind of lower in the front so you can see my cute little mini pumpkins. So just kind of shake it and get the sand to fall exactly where you need it to be. It's kind of fun. And I messed with it a little bit, and I am happy with it. I think it turned out really cute. So a little fall version of the beach terrarium with some cute little pumpkins on the beach. And this is how it turned out. I love making terrarium. They're so much fun. I mean, you don't have to have real plants or anything like that. You can just use the faux succulents from the Dollar Tree and the Dollar Tree sand. And everything was from the Dollar Tree here except for that ribbon and that little tiny orange pumpkin. But I like it. I think it's a fun touch for fall, something a little bit whimsical and unexpected.
For the next one, I want to make a coastal fall wreath using some of the pampas grass from Dollar Tree. This is the one that's kind of, the tannish straw color. It's a little bit longer than the seasonal color ones I've noticed, but I thought it would be really cool to try to make a wreath with it. I wasn't really sure how I was going to pull it off, but I thought maybe if I separate the little pieces of pampas grass, it would be a little bit better. So just trying to find the best way to cut that. I was just using my floral scissors there from Dollar Tree. So one of those gives me 4 of the pampas pieces. And I'm using just one of the metal wreath forms from the Dollar Tree. That is one of the gold ones. I was trying to decide how in the world am I going to cover it. I thought that one of the wire wreath forms would work the best because it's so thin. I won't have to hide the wreath form. And so I decided to zip tie it. I don't really want the zip ties to be visible though. So it was a little tricky for me. When I posted this video originally, a lot of you guys had the idea of using fishing line for this, that you could tie it with fishing line and it would be hidden in the pampas grass and you wouldn't be able to see that. And I think that is a really good idea. I'm planning to do more than one layer of the pampas grass, so I think I can hide the zip tie if I need to. So here, to kind of make it take the shape of the circle, I use another zip tie like right there. Now I want to do this one like with fall colors, so it's going to be like the pampas grass. We're also going to bring in some mushrooms on this fall DIY, which I really love. I love crafting with mushrooms for about every season. I've used them in spring, I've used them in fall a lot. And I was just at Dollar General the other day and they had mushrooms for Christmas. And I was like, oh, mushrooms for Christmas? You can use them for just about anything. So I'm continuing that pattern around my wreath form, just overlapping the pampas grass a little bit here on the fluffy end with my stems. And going all the way around until it is completely covered with my first round. And of course you can still see the zip ties, but I'm going to try to find a way to disguise that. And I want it to be thicker. It's just way too thin for a wreath. It's going to be a smaller wreath like this. You could use this for a door. I used mine actually for a wall hanging, and it looked really pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and take apart another one right here. The seasonal ones, they have like an orange, like a mustard yellow color. They have black, I believe. They have lots of different colors of these. So you can kind of find whatever you can get. At this point, my stores are fall, Halloween, and Christmas. And every store is completely different on what they have. Either they have tons of one, the first one, the second one, or the third one. They're all different. I know they're having trouble trying to probably fit it everywhere right now. I know in my craft room, it's the same way. So to disguise that, instead of using any zip ties on this round, I just used hot glue. That way you won't be able to see any of the way it's connected, and it'll make it look like the pampas grass is just kind of floating on it. So I just use hot glue and I just do a thin bead of it right where the stem of the pampas grass is going to be. And I think it looks better thicker like this too. I kind of tuck that one in so it's still all kind of layered and piled on top of each other. Now it's time to decorate it. I told you we were going to use mushrooms, and I'm going to use them in a coastal blue color. I'm also going to use a Dollar Tree starfish from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. And I'm going to hot glue that one to the pampas grass right about here. I love the blue mushrooms. Those are my favorite ones out of all the fall colors. They have like orange topped ones, red ones, brown ones, but the blue ones are great for coastal decor. So if you wanted to do this one without a coastal twist, you could use any of the fall colored ones that I just mentioned and use something else instead of the starfish for sure. And I'm just going to attach them to it. I thought that they were going to be a little bit too round like this, so I'm going to cut mine down. I'm just using one of those pool noodle knives that they have at the Dollar Tree, and I am just cutting that right through, trying not to destroy it in the process. They are a little bit fragile, so be careful with this part. As you can see, the top of it wanted to come off a little bit. This piece, though, I got all off in one piece. Kind of barely, but see how much better it's going to sit on the wreath form now when it has a flat side like that, but it still gives you the 3D look. This is my other one. I can just put that back together. So one of those mushrooms will be like 2 of them here on this side of it. I did kind of reattach it with some hot glue because the cap, as you can see, was barely holding on. after I cut it apart. And then I'm just going to attach those to the wreath form with some hot glue. I'm going to do the 2 over on this side with the starfish. I'm also going to decorate the top right side of it as well. If you want it to be more simplistic, you could just decorate one side of it like this. I really wanted lots of fun little fall coastal touches to this too. So I just glue the cap back on this one, trying to put it back together like it was before, and then I'll hot glue that kind of coming off to the side like that. It was really easy to attach that to the pampas grass and kind of make sure that it stays in place. Now for the other side, I thought it would be fun to decorate it as well. I want to use some of those beautiful blue leaves from the Dollar Tree and maybe some seashells as well. I think all of the colors will work really nice together. I was trying to go through my seashell stash to see what I thought would look the best. I tried to just stay with the light blue and like white color scheme that I already had going on. Now, when you pull these off the little bundles from the Dollar Tree like that, they come out in like little bundles like that. You can leave them attached or separate them. I decided to cut mine apart so I could kind of individually place them on there. And I just want to decorate this corner of the wreath form as well. So just using hot glue, I glue on both of my little fall leaves and then add a seashell to them as well. Really cute, kind of an unexpected DIY for fall. But again, I love using blue, any kind of coastal for fall. But I also love using fun items like mushrooms. I think that's so cool. For the hanger, I just did a little piece of twine that I knotted at the top. And there it is, our pampas grass coastal fall wreath. I think it is really fun and definitely really unique. What do you guys think about this one? Be sure to let me know when you're done watching today's video, which one of these crafts today was your favorite. I always love reading all of your kind comments. Isn't that cool? So it's another fun way for you to use the pampas grass from the Dollar Tree. I love crafting with it. Sometimes it's a little difficult though to figure out what to do with it. I found this sign at the fall section at Dollar Tree. It has blue, white, and orange pumpkins in the back. So it's got the blue that I was looking for, but I thought we could take it up a notch and try to make it look a little bit more coastal. So we're going to do that with Dollar Tree rope. So we're using the same rope that we used on the leaf wreath. It is the 9.5 foot, the kind of the skinnier one. Thought that would be easier to do the letters. And I just loop around the cursive H. I decide to cut mine so that I don't have to overlap it and make like a big bump with the rope on top of the rope. And I'm kind of glad that I did that for this because I think it did make it look more high end in the end. I have done cursive writing with rope before and left it all one piece, but since I was trying to kind of keep to the shape of the home that's already on the sign, I'm just going to kind of cut it. So I'm going to have to cut it here again to prevent an overlap here on the little loop on the O. So I just cut that down and glue it on. And I just want to cover all of the frame because I don't really like it. It's like a brown, boring, like wood look. But the back of the sign is really cute with like the little pumpkin print. It's totally my color and style for fall decorating. So I thought just adding some rope, and we're also going to add some burlap to this. We can take this Dollar Tree sign and just make it extra special. So I got to this point and there's another place I need to cut the loop of the E. Gonna cut that down and then I just have a little tail piece. And now I think that looks pretty good. I'm just gonna make sure everything is glued down, burning off any fuzzies from the home out of rope. It's just a fun idea of something that you can do with these Dollar Tree signs. Now for the burlap, I'm going to use the burlap trim. This is the one that comes in the middle of the package. And there's plenty in one package to go around the entire frame. So I'm just going to hot glue that burlap trim to it and see how like great texture that adds to it. Just makes it look so much more high end. We're going to do the same thing here on the top. And of course, you know, it's made out of like this burlap jute material. It's going to go great with the rope. And it just added lots of texture and beauty to this little fall sign.
And that's basically all there is to it. Our little rope home sign with the little blue pumpkins. I was going to add some seashells to it, but I didn't think it really needed any. I think the rope is enough of a coastal touch with the blue pumpkins, of course. But this is how it turned out. Our little home pumpkin sign. I think that's the first time I've covered the word with rope, but I really like how it turned out because I really like rope like in a cursive design like that. I think it looks really pretty. What do you guys think about this DIY? I hope you're getting some great crafting inspiration today.
Now for the next DIY, I wanted to try something with a Dollar Tree fall leaf. I picked up this sign. I liked the size of it. It's one of the Give Thanks ones, but you could use any of them. And then I also picked up a Dollar Tree wood round. I wanted to do something like that looked kind of like the seaweed that washes up on the beach with like some seashells with some fall colors on this one. And I love how it turned out. It was really cool. To cover up the sign itself, I wanted a blue background and I wanted to use one of the Dollar Tree placemats. This one it's not really necessarily blue. It's more of like that mint green color, but this works really well with coastal decor as well. I think it's really pretty. And I know it's not wide enough for the Dollar Tree wood round, but I can always piece it together and cover the whole thing. So I just cut out what I could of the circle first. And then I'll just go back here and attach this, and then we can cut off that as well. So I thought I would go ahead and just attach the placemat first that I have. So I just put some hot glue here on the back. You could use Mod Podge for this one, but I really didn't have any trouble using hot glue with those mats. And just making sure that everything is laying nice and flat. My heat gun kind of helped me a little bit on that. And this one I decided to attach first before I cut it, just to make sure that I get it cut properly. So I just attached that with hot glue as well, and then go back and cut out that circle shape. And you can't really tell that I had to piece that together. Now for the holes, I'm just going to go ahead and poke the holes that were already on the wood round through the placemat so that I can make a hanging sign out of this. And this is going to be the background for our coastal leaf DIY. The hanger on it, I'm just going to go ahead and reattach. I saved the one that was on there. I just kind of string it through the front here. Again, trying to make sure that the holes that I poked in there are large enough for that little plastic piece to pop it through. And then we can decorate the fall leaf that's going to go on top. I know this one's a little busy. It's got like a lot of stuff going on, the glitter and stuff like that, but it is what I had, so I decided to go ahead and use it. I do know that they do have like plain wood leaf signs from Dollar Tree too that you could use for this. This one was, I think, a little bit bigger, and I had it, so I decided to go ahead and craft with this one. I just removed the pop-off on the back so that it wouldn't interfere, and the hanger, and I'm just going to decorate the back. It's going to make it easier. I won't have to fight against the glitter and stuff that was already on there. Now for the seaweed part of it, I'm going to use Spanish moss. I think it really gives you like that seaweed look, that stuff that washes up on the beach. It's not my favorite thing about the beach, but it's definitely a part of the beach, so I thought I would try to incorporate that into my DIY. Now this is a Dollar Tree Spanish moss. I've been having a lot of trouble finding this at Dollar Tree lately. This and the reindeer moss. Lately I've had to pick some up at Walmart, which disappointed me because surely they're going to get it back in because I know it's really popular. I know I craft with moss all the time. I think it's so cool. And as you can see, I'm just working like one piece at a time and hot gluing that to it. If I get a little bit too much hot glue anywhere, I just kind of go in with my heat gun, kind of melt it in where you can't see it too much, but I just want a really fluffy little Spanish moss leaf for this. And you know, we used to live on the island here in Florida, and we had the giant ancient oaks that had the Spanish moss hanging from them. So that kind of gives me a beachy vibe as well. Even if it doesn't really it does kind of look like seaweed, but you can also use it just for Spanish moss. Once I got it all glued on, I decided it was a little rough looking. So I just go around and trim it up to try to make sure that I keep that great leaf shape that we had going. And beware if you're working with this, definitely put something down because as you can see, it does definitely make a big mess. I think that looks pretty good though. I'm gonna have to clean this all up, but I thought I would go in and kind of patch up any areas where I thought I saw a little bit of baldness. And I want to attach the fall leaf like this, kind of like it's falling down from the sky, kind of a little bit at an angle. And I'm just going to use some hot glue to attach that to the wood round that we already DIY'd. And I think that looks pretty cool. Now it's time to add some seashells, which are my favorite part. Again, I'm going to be using the small seashells from the Dollar Tree, but you could always use, you know, whatever you can find. I really like the ones that I got on Amazon as well. They have a kind of a big variety in different sizes and styles in there. And they even do have some little starfish as well. And I'm just going to start hot gluing these down and making sure that I'm not just gluing it to the moss, that I'm pushing it all the way down against the sign that's underneath of it, because I don't want that to fall off when I hang this on the wall. And I'm just going to scatter the seashells out like you would find them in the seaweed at the beach. And just gluing these all around. As I'm recording this, we are awaiting a hurricane, Hurricane Milton. And I'm really disappointed because starting today, our beaches are closed. And whenever our beaches are closed, it makes me so sad. Definitely wanted to do a coastal video for y'all today. And I'm really hoping it's not as bad as it looks. Now for the border of it, I always like to border out the Dollar Tree signs to make them a little bit thicker because they are kind of thin. And a fun way to frame those out is to just use some Dollar Tree rope. And this is going to go with the coastal vibe of the sign as well. So just using some hot glue, we're going to glue a rope border on here by just simply wrapping this package of rope all the way around. It doesn't really matter which size you use. My Dollar Trees are all consistent, either, you know, or kind of inconsistent. They either have like the thinner one like this or they have the thicker one. I always try to grab rope whenever I see it, this one and the nautical rope from Dollar Tree, because I'd rather have a stockpile of it in my stash than have to be searching for it all the time because I use it so often to craft with. I just made my beginning and end there at the bottom. It's kind of seamless, you can't really tell where it starts and stops, and that color of rope looks really good combined with that Spanish moss. This is how it turned out. I think it's really fun, coastal DIY. Definitely looks beachy. With the Spanish moss and the seashells, we added a few of the little Amazon starfish in there as well. And I love that minty green color for the background. It goes great with all my coastal decor. I try to use the light blue and this minty green. I'm going to take a Dollar Tree sign. This is one of the ones with the wood bead hanger, but I'd already removed the hanger because I was going to use it for something else and I never ended up using it. So I just wanted a square sign, and I like the wood frame, so I'm going to protect that with some painter's tape. But I do want to paint the background of the slatted wood sign. I want it to be beachy and blue. I'm going to use this color. It's Apple Barrel Cloudless. I love this color. You can get this in my Amazon shop below. It's really inexpensive, and it even ships with Prime. I think it's like 50 or 60 cents. I absolutely love this color. I'm obsessed with it. You can also get it at Walmart. And I just go over the entire sign with one coat of that beautiful blue color, switching to a tiny brush so I can kind of get in all the grooves and around the sides of the frame. Make sure everything's colored and blue. Now I have that little welcome pumpkin that you see there, and the only reason I have that is because we're going to kind of use that for a stencil for the pumpkin that we are going to design on this little sign. I want to make a driftwood pumpkin using some of the wood slices from the Dollar Tree. So for the first step, I'm just going to use the pumpkin as a template. Just makes it a little bit easier to get the pumpkin shape, but a pumpkin shape is pretty easy. And I'm going to trace it out. I did kind of make the mistake of using an ink pen. I probably should have used a pencil because I did have to paint over that pen quite a bit to try to get, like, I didn't want any lines visible, but I used a pen. Now, these wood slices from the Dollar Tree look extra driftwood to me, so we're going to try to use them instead of driftwood to see if we can make a Dollar Tree driftwood project.
Some of them even have branches, which is fun. So we're going to piece them together and make a little pumpkin. I decided to do mine horizontal like that. I am going to have to cut some of the pieces down to get them to fit, but I think we can make it work. I have cut those before with the little miter scissors that I got on Amazon, so we're going to give that a try. So I'm going to start right here at the bottom of the pumpkin. I'm going to overlap the side slightly and just glue on my first piece of driftwood. Now, these come in all different widths, so I just tried to make sure I used, fairly the same size width going across, so my rows would at least be even. So that one was kind of a thicker one. This one's going to be a thinner one. So I'm going to find another thin piece to do the right side. And I'm just cutting those down to size with my miter scissors and gluing them on. Now, some of the pieces are a little bit thicker, like that one, and they can be a little trickier to cut. Sometimes I have to cut them and then turning them around and cut them again to get them to cut with the scissors, but that does work. That's when I realized I probably should have used a pencil, because then I had to kind of start touching up my lines here and there, just because that ink was kind of obvious. I don't know what I was thinking with that. Now, I don't want all of my joints to be in the same place. I'm going to kind of switch it up, start like doing the long ones on the right sometimes and the shorter ones over on the left. Just kind of like you're doing flooring or anything like that. You just don't want all of your joints to end up in the same spot. And again, touching up my paint there. And again, skinny, and then I use another skinny one for the other side. We're just going to cover up that entire pumpkin design with the driftwood. So the only labor-intensive part of this one was cutting them down to size. So, if you had like a larger sign that you're working with, you could always do this without cutting them, because as you can see, they do come in different lengths anyway. You could kind of do a more random shape, but I was kind of restricted to the size because I wanted to do it on this Dollar Tree sign. So again, I don't really mind if you can see the blue paint between the two driftwood pieces. I'm just trying to make sure that you can't really see the line that I painted on the sides of the pumpkin. And I think it is easier to cut them with the miter scissors. I mean, they do require quite a bit of hand strength, but you could totally use a saw if you needed to cut yours down too. But I really love these wood slices from the Dollar Tree. They come in like 3 different kinds. I think these are my favorite. I've been finding them a lot more at some of my smaller Dollar Trees, so I've been able to stock up on them. Now, I don't have much left of the pumpkin. Just trying to find the right size, and again, trying to cover up my ink with more paint. So I just kind of need a chunky small piece here for the top and glue that on. I was trying to decide what I was going to do for the stem of the pumpkin. I do kind of want it to be driftwood. I at first tried to do it with this wood, but then I ended up switching it to something else, and I'll show you that too. I think I need one more row to finish off my pumpkin shape. I did cut down some of the driftwood here to make a stem, so I'll kind of show you what that looks like if you did just want to use the stem. I used like 2 together, but then I decided I want something a little different. And I have some real driftwood from the beach, so I'm just going to cut down a rough piece of real driftwood just to kind of mix it up. And I just cut that down where it kind of had a jagged edge, but a smooth bottom, so I can kind of attach it right there on the top of the pumpkin. And I don't really want to add any other kind of design to that. I think that looks perfect as is. I don't want mine to be a hanging sign. I want it to be a stand-up sign. So I'm just going to take one of these wood Jenga blocks from Five Below and glue that to the back of my sign, making sure that I can kind of slant the sign back a little bit. So I'm going to kind of make a small gap right there to make it slightly lean back so it will sit perfectly in my home decor. And how cute is that? A little Dollar Tree version of a driftwood pumpkin. I absolutely love how this turned out. I mean, I know it's not driftwood, but it does kind of give you that same feel, right?
And you can always use real driftwood for this as well. It would look super cute, or even just sticks. I really love those wood sticks from the Dollar Tree. I really wish they would sell them on their website because I go through these a lot and I really love to craft with them. Now for the next DIY, I wanted to make a fun fall sign, so I picked up 4 of these Dollar Tree signs. These are wood with like a little section on the front. It doesn't really matter what signs you use as long as you get 4 the same size. And I'm going to cover it with my favorite removable wallpaper from the Dollar Tree in this palm leaf design. Sadly, since I made this, they've discontinued this one and I can't find it anywhere. And since they're not selling it anymore, I've actually scanned in a copy of this design that I will link in the description if you want to print it out as a free printable so you can recreate, or you can use any of their new styles. They have are really pretty too. But I love this one because it's great for coastal, right? So I just cut one down and I'm going to cut the next one next to it, right next to it. So the pattern continues, if you know what I mean. And I'm going to do that with the 3rd sign and the 4th sign. What I want to do is spell out the word fall with these signs and make a really cute set of signs that all spell out the word fall. And if you want to use this design, you could just print it out and Mod Podge it over. You might have to paint over the signs that are underneath of it to make sure that it doesn't go through. I was trying to decide if you're going to be able to see it through, and since this is removable, I was able to peel it back and actually go ahead and paint mine. I didn't think you'd be able to see through it, but you could see the wording through there a little bit. That black on white writing is really kind of strong. So I just go over all of them with a couple of coats of ivory chalk paint to give me a blank canvas. But I love the little wood sign that was already on the background. And then I'm going to try again. I was able to use that same piece. And I really wish they would bring this pattern back. Definitely my favorite. I have stockpiled this pattern though. So I do have a lot of them because I really love this. I've used it for Christmas DIYs. I've used it for fall DIYs and of course beach DIYs. Once I get it on there, I just go ahead and sand the edges, making sure that I don't have any paper coming over the sides of it. And I'm going to make my letters with actually popsicle sticks. These are not the tiny popsicle sticks from the Dollar Tree. I actually got these at Walmart. They're maybe jumbo. They're not like the super jumbo or anything like that. And I'm just going to cut them down to spell out the word fall. The word fall is really easy to do with these little straight sticks like this. It's just a matter of cutting them down to appropriate sizes. I cut part of the L down the same size as the F, so my letters would all be the same size. I do another one for the other L, and then cut little sections here for this part of it as well. I need the F and the L, and then those are the ones, super jumbo. I did show you, good. And then for the A, I thought I would do something different for fun and something coastal. I decided to use one of the little starfish with starfish ornaments from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. Now, you could always spell out the letter A with popsicle sticks too if you didn't have a different shape ornament, or you could even use a fall leaf for this as well. I wanted coastal, so I thought the starfish would be a fun touch. I am just painting them with some ivory acrylic, all of my letters before I go ahead and attach them to my fall sign, including the little starfish. Now that they're all painted and dry, I can go ahead and start putting this together. I have that giant Band-Aid on my finger from, of course, a crafting injury. Gotta be careful out there, guys. If it's not the hot glue, it's a scissors. So I'm gonna go ahead and hot glue these all in place, kind of lining these up together so I can center them a little bit better since those are the actual letters. And we're going to spell out the word fall. The starfish had a little hole in the top that I didn't patch, but I'm actually going to tie a little twine in a simple bow and kind of try to make it decorative and like it was supposed to be there. So I just glue a little hot glue there to cover that up. And there was also like a circle pattern on the starfish that I thought kind of got blended away when I painted over it. So I just went back over it with my bronze Sharpie and drew those back on. Looking really cool. I did go back and kind of dry brush a little bit of ivory on top of it just to make it look a little bit more distressed. And I really love how this fall sign turned out. It was so easy to make. And remember that trick about using popsicle sticks to make letters? You can make most letters with them and save a lot of money versus buying the pre-made letters. And see how cool they look? I like the fact that they actually even have joints and stuff in them. I think it looks pretty cool.
Okay, our next fall DIY, we're going to use one of these fall leaf forms from the Dollar Tree. I've had you guys say, what in the world are you supposed to do with these things? So I wanted to give you an idea of a fun way to decorate this. So it's kind of all flat in one dimension, and I can see why people kind of get hung up on decorating it, because you're like, what are you supposed to do? And I thought it was just calling for some Dollar Tree rope. So we're going to use some of the Dollar Tree brown rope. This is the 8-foot one, but you could probably use either one. And just cover all of that great texture on there with the rope. It's going to be so easy to do, and it turned out so cute. So all I'm doing is cutting down that rope for each little part, like little vein of the leaf, where it'll be just long enough, but not to interfere with the outer shape of the leaf. And then it's just a matter of hot gluing those into place. I like the color on this because it blends in well. You don't have to worry about any of that color peeking out, because sometimes they like to do red and yellow on these wreath forms from the Dollar Tree. But basically, we're going to do every row here, just gluing those straight into place. That way we can also use rope to go around all the edges of it and glue that on as well. It's going to give you a really fun wreath for fall. I cut one long piece here for the middle, hot gluing that in between all of those, kind of sandwiching them below it as well. And then we can start working on the outer part of it. Isn't this just a perfect application for rope? Definitely easy, and you still get that great shape of the leaf. So I'm just working one section at a time, hot gluing that rope all around. And it's kind of simple, but I think we can dress it up a little bit and make it look a little bit more decorative for fall. If you like it like this, though, you could kind of leave it as is. It's very neutral looking like this. And you can hang this like it's falling down, or you could have it upright. It's kind of up to you. Whenever you hot glue to a wreath form like this, it gets a little messy on the back. And if you have a heat gun or a hair dryer, you can kind of clean that up a little bit if you want. I do like to always burn off all the fuzzies whenever I do a rope DIY. So that's the next thing I do, is just go around each piece of rope, just lightly burn off any of the fuzzies there to clean it up. And I thought it would be fun to do like a fun bow or something at the top, but something beachy too. I like to pick up this light blue wide ribbon. Every year they have the Easter section. I always pick some up. And I want to make a cute little bow for the top. So what I did was I have a tail, I did a loop, and I did another loop, and then I did that again. So I wanted to make as big as I can, and I had a lot of ribbon on here, so I went ahead and did 3 loops on each side. The ribbon is the same on both sides, so you don't have to twist it or anything. Just gather it in the middle, and then I cut off another tail. Then you simply take a zip tie to the middle of this. It's got wired edges, so I can fill that out and make it look like a full bow. Super easy with all of those loops. It should be nice and substantial. You want to pull your tails down to the same side and then just shape your bow however you want. I wanted a big bow since this is a wreath, and I thought we would hang it upside down. So I'm going to use some twine to make a simple hanger here, attaching it to the bottom part of the leaf. And then we can decorate it with our blue bow that we made. I'm going to go ahead and dovetail the little tails of the bow here to make it look a little bit more professional. And then we are just going to hot glue the bow directly onto the rope. Gave me that good dose of blue. If you don't want to use blue for fall, you could do it with any kind of fall ribbon or fall color. It would be super cute. Then I tied some more twine around the bow, making sure that it stays attached. Now I wanted to decorate it with something coastal, so I'm going to use one of these little sand dollars from the Dollar Tree from the Shore Living line. But I didn't really like the color on mine, so I am just painting it with a little ivory acrylic paint because it kind of had a little bit of a gray tinge, and then we can decorate our bow with that. I thought right there on the front, and then maybe one of these little burlap leaves would be cute too, since that's kind of the shape of the sign. I should have dried my sand dollar first. Lesson learned, but I don't think you're going to be able to see it when I'm done. And I was trying to decide here if I want to do one or two of the little burlap leaves. Are these like, is this the shape of an oak leaf? I think it's an oak leaf. They also have like the maple shape ones that would be cute too, but I just attach those to my bow, and then we can top the whole thing off with that sand dollar that we painted. Just hot gluing that and gluing that right to the bow and to the little burlap leaves. Isn't that cute? It turned out so cute, and it was so easy to DIY. Just a little time consuming gluing all of your rope down and cutting the pieces out. But look how cute that turned out. I think it looks very beachy with the burlap, the rope, and the blue, but also really fun and pretty for fall. So don't be scared of that wreath form if you can find that in your Dollar Tree in the fall section, because it comes out real cute.
I'm using one of these wood boxes from the Dollar Tree. It's like a pencil box, but I thought it would be a great planter to do stacked pumpkins in, right? So I'm going to show you how to do that with items from the Dollar Tree. I'm also going to make it multi-purpose for fall and Halloween, depending on which direction you show it. One will be just straight fall. Turn it around, you can add a jack-o'-lantern to it, and it will be Halloween as well, right? So these are those great wood stickers they have from the Dollar Tree. And the jack-o'-lantern is just the right size to decorate the pot of this. I want to leave it natural wood, the pencil cup. I think it's so pretty. So we're just going to add one of these guys. I chose the natural color of wood just so that I could make it my own color. And I'm just using, I think this is lake color, just a light blue color, because I want to do a burlap orange and blue stacked pumpkin. So the makeup sponges work fantastic for this because you're not going to use too much paint. You don't have to worry about it pooling, especially like in his little face like that. And I want it to look a little distressed too. So I just kind of go over it, wiping off any excess paint. And just a little fun decor piece to add to the pot before we, DIY it a little bit more. Now I just cut down some Dollar Tree floral foam to fit in size this. It's a little bit small, and so I had to cut it down a little bit to fit. And this is dry, so we can use this to attach it to the front of it. And I'm using a foam pumpkin from the Dollar Tree, one of their burlap pumpkins, and one of their burlap pumpkin picks for this. It worked perfectly. The only pumpkin I'm really going to have to DIY is the foam pumpkin because I couldn't find a large burlap pumpkin from Dollar Tree. Now, I also want to weigh it down. I do want the foam. That's necessary. But I'm just going to use some Dollar Tree pebbles to weigh it down so it's like bottom heavy and won't tip over. So kind of both. I need both the foam and the rocks. Now let me show you how easy it is. This is the key. And you know what? This year I found one of these like even in like a moss all over it. And it's on a pick like this, a pumpkin. That would be really cool too. I might have to do something like that with it. But I'm going to take advantage of it, using the dowel on it to actually make the stacked pumpkins, right? They have these again this year. These are the burlap pumpkins. I wanted blue, orange, and brown. So blue on top, orange is the middle, and then I just got a plain white foam one for the large burlap one, and making sure that each one was like kind of significantly bigger going down so we can get that great stacked pumpkin look, right? So I just go ahead and remove the top. It's kind of in there with like just a toothpick. And we're going to wrap it with burlap. Now, this is the burlap ribbon that Dollar Tree carries in the fall a lot. You could always use this. You could always cut burlap down into strips like this. But having it in strips is going to make it easier to put it together. I love buying like the pre-made burlap ones, like that orange pumpkin, just because it's such a time saver. but I will show you how to make one from scratch if you need to. So I just went across and then crisscrossed, gluing together. Then I have this area in between each one that I go through, and having it go like the stripes go vertically like this is going to kind of give you that like pumpkin decor, right? And I go around all the different ways. Now I do want it to look a little bit more sectioned too, so I'm just going to take some twine. This is actually, I think, the twine from Walmart, but I just go around each section, coming back, going through the middle, tying it off, pulling it through the other side, and each one of the bumps of the pumpkin now has that twine through it. That is to give it that classic pumpkin shape, also to hold down the burlap, make it tight. I did have like a little bit of seams here in between my burlap pieces, but I just hot glued them all down. Now, this is the pumpkin we're going to start with on the top. It's perfect, ready to go. For the orange burlap pumpkin, I simply remove the pumpkin stem, and we're just going to go ahead and put this dowel down through the pumpkin. It's made out of foam as well, and all the way through, just sliding it on. And we're going to do the same thing with our DIY burlap pumpkin. I just try to find the center here, trying to go around the twine area that I did, poking that through, and there's plenty of dowel left to come all the way through to the bottom. It was such an easy way to do this. Now, if you can't find one that's already on the stick like this, you can always use a dowel for that, but using a dowel like that lets you kind of reposition them, and it holds it all together for sure. So there's enough to go down into the foam. There's not a lot of dowel left, but there's enough. So I'm just trying to test it out to see if I think that that's going to be sturdy enough. Now, before I go ahead and add it to my planter, I'm going to add some fall leaves down here just for decor, and we can like do like little sections, right? I want them to like be like they're peeking out from between the pumpkins to kind of add to that fun fall flair of this one. These are kind of the more neutral fall leaves, the ivory and like the tan. And I just kind of put those in there. Since I can still kind of move the pumpkins, I can kind of move them, open up a small gap, use a little bit of hot glue, and go in there and attach those. I just alternate like the brown and the ivory like that, alternating each one. So it looks like there's some leaves poking out between the stacked pumpkins. I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to add a little hot glue to the foam just to help keep this attached, since the dowel is not very long at this point. Since we have all these pumpkins on here, right? So I just placed that down inside the foam, straight down to give us our stacked pumpkins. Now, even though the top one is more of like a sweater material, I think it still has that same texture and vibe as the rest of the burlap, and it coordinates well together, I think. And you could do this in any color scheme. Now, to kind of finish off the box, make it look more fun, I'm going to use some Dollar Tree rope, and I am going to just kind of frame it out. So I just start on the side using hot glue, go all the way around. And again, this is going to be multi-holiday, right? Fall and Halloween. For Halloween, you can just turn it around, or you can see the jack-o'-lantern. For the rest of fall, you can just spin it around like that. It won't have anything on it. I think the rope looked pretty good, so I went ahead and did another row of it around the bottom as well. It really went well with the burlap that we added to that bottom pumpkin. And this is how it turned out, our little stacked pumpkins. I'm really a fan. It was so easy to make. I really only had to DIY that one pumpkin there on the bottom just to get a burlap pumpkin to scale. But that little pencil box from the Dollar Tree worked really well for a tiny planter as well. Really fun. I hope you enjoyed that one as well.
Okay, the next DIY, I'm going to do a fun little thrift flip sign. I actually picked up this like sea and sky scrapbook paper at Michael's on clearance. I never go there, but one of y'all told me this was on clearance. And so I had to go get some, but you could use a calendar. You could print out a picture of the ocean. You could even paint your own scene if you wanted. But basically I wanted a simple ocean background to cover a thrifted sign. And then we can make a really fun hand-painted sign on top of this. So I just flip it over and I take my thrifted sign, draw out the shape, and just cut out the square on my scrapbook paper. And I think that's gonna look so beachy for fall, right? So now it's just a matter of attaching this. It's a nice thick cardstock, so I think I can just go straight over whatever was already on this thrifted sign. My Goodwills used to have half off days where I would go and get just a great deal on starter blanks like that. And this year they have quit doing the rewards program, and I never seem to find good deals there anymore. They can kind of mark that stuff up. I always laugh at the Dollar Tree items that they have marked up to like $3, $4, $5. I'm like, that's from Dollar Tree. So as you can see, I just put that on there. It was super easy to glue down. If you don't get a perfect cut, you can just go around the edges with a sanding block. And I kind of wanted to do that anyway, just to kind of roughen it up and give it a little bit of distressed feel. I'm also going to seal the top of mine because I'm going to go over this with stencil to do a hand-painted sign. So I want this to be good and secure. I don't want to be peeling off any paper. And I want to make sure that it's down super flat. So once I got the first coat of Mod Podge dry, I'm going to go over the top of it with another coat. And that is my Cricut brayer that I'm just using to roll that on to make sure it's super smooth. And then I didn't really like the black edges of my thrifted sign, so I'm just going to go in and brighten them up real quick with a coat of white acrylic all around for edges. Now I'm going to add to this ocean scene and make a hand-painted sign using my Cricut to make a stencil. And I did just check my Cricut design space to see if I have this file for share, and I do. Hopefully it'll work okay for you. I will try to share that in the description below this video. Anytime you can't find the description, it's down there, I promise. Sometimes you have to click see more. Sometimes you just have to click on like the first couple lines of my description, depending on what kind of device you're on. And this is the stencil vinyl that I get on Amazon. I love this stuff. It does great, even on a sign that's just recently been painted. I never have any damage to paint or anything like that. And basically, this is going to say autumn leaves and an ocean breeze. I'm just going to weed out the area here for a stencil. I'm noticing that I like missed a whole word here, but I'm sure I'll figure that out. And I'm using my paper transfer paper that I also get on Amazon. I have both those linked in my Amazon shop in the description below. I love both of them for using stencils or any kind of vinyl. And I peeled off the back. And I am just lining that up and putting the stencil on the sign. I want to make sure that I have it good and flat. I was having a little trouble getting my paper transfer paper off there, but you know what? It's really easy to tear it if you need to. And that's when I realized, yeah, girl, you like missed like a whole word, but it's not too late. I'm just going to use my weeder and take out that part of the stencil. And I love this saying for fall. I think it's super perfect for a fall at the beach, or if you just want to pretend that you're at the beach, right? So autumn leaves and an ocean breeze. I'm going to make sure that my stencil vinyl is down good and flat. I don't really care if I have a little bit of bleeding because it's going to give me like that coastal farmhouse vibe. And I'm just using white acrylic going over the stencil. I love making hand-painted signs, but you know what? You could use the same design and just cut this out of straight white vinyl. You're going to get a very similar result. So this is a second coat of white acrylic all over. I try not to concentrate too hard on the stencil, just kind of going over it as fast as I can. And then if you've never used a stencil before, you have to go in and kind of pick out all the vinyl that's still left behind from your stencil. And as you can see, I did have a little bit of bleeding, probably from using like the thin acrylic and not using a stencil dauber. But I'm just going to kind of clean that up a little bit with a baby wipe. And we're going to distress the whole thing anyway, so you're probably not going to be able to notice in the final result. But while it's still kind of fresh and wet, I can just clean that up. Since I sealed it with Mod Podge, it was easy to clean. And then, of course, I'm going to distress all over with a little bit of ivory to kind of give it that aged feel. Isn't that cute on that? I thought a little fall leaf would be perfect to finish it off. And so I'm going to use one of these like ivory tannish leaves. And I have a little bit of room down here in the bottom corner. And I thought that would be a fun little 3D touch to add to our sign. We already have the ocean background, so that can be our autumn leaf. Kind of matches the color of the sand. I'm just going to attach it with a little dot of hot glue down here. And I want mine to be a standing sign to go on my bookshelves for fall. And so this sign wasn't. And so I'm just going to use a couple of those giant jenga blocks from Five Below. You guys know I love these things. I just picked some up there the other day. You get a giant box of these for $12. And they're perfect for crafting. One box usually lasts me for about a year of crafting, and I use them a lot. So autumn leaves and an ocean breeze. This is how it turned out, and I will share this Cricut file with you below. But I think it turned out really cute. I really liked using that scrapbook paper
for the ocean scene, but you know what? You could always paint that on there as well. I really do love like that seafoam look there that comes through, and of course I love decorating coastal for all holidays, but I think coastal and fall really go well together. Now for the next DIY, I wanted to make a fun cutting board tray for fall. So I picked up two of the fall signs that look like cutting boards, and I thought I could pair them together to make a thick, chunky little cutting board out of these since they're kind of thin. And I can cover them with something fun too. I thought I would use some of this palm leaf removable wallpaper from the Dollar Tree, which sadly isn't available. If you want to try to recreate, I have the printable in the description of today's video, but I'm not sure if you'd be able to print it large enough for this big size like this, but you could always use one of the other styles as well. It's a great way to cover one of the Dollar Tree pre-made signs like that and make it look a lot better. And I just sketch mine out on the back of the removable wallpaper paper and go ahead and start cutting it out first. It's going to make it easier to cover this. Has a round hanger, and there'll also be like a little hole section there too that I'll have to cut out to have the hole for the top of the cutting board, the handle. So I'm just going to peel and stick this to the back of it just so I don't have to deal with any glitter, any bumpiness, or having to remove any of that. And I can sandwich all of the glitter and design they had on there in between the two signs because I'm going to put them together to make a chunkier sign. So I went ahead and made sure that that was sealed really well. I love the removable wallpaper. It's so easy to use. If you get it on there a little bit crooked and you have a little bit of paper hanging over, a sanding sponge from the Dollar Tree works perfect to give you that perfect cut. And that looks good. We can start working on the bottom piece. Now to make it super chunky, I'm going to use some of the Dollar Tree wood beads. These are the cube shape, and these are perfect because these are going to lay flat. And I'm going to go all the way around the edges. So I want to be able to kind of move these around, but I do want to leave them strung together. So I start right here at the handle. After untying the first one, I'm going to start hot gluing them on. The fact that they're all strung together helps keep it all together, but it's also still flexible enough to go around different shapes like this. And so I just kind of hot glue one section here at a time, and I'm going to fill in all the way around the edges of this is the bottom part of the tray. And then I'll put the one that we just covered with the wallpaper on top of it. It's going to make a nice, thick, chunky tray that looks like a cutting board. That's how far one strand of the wood cube garland got me. So I go ahead and untie the first one on this one, tie it to that one, and continue that pattern, trying to work myself all the way around. Now you could use the round wood beads for this too if that's all you can find. I have done that before on my like watermelon tier trays, and it turned out pretty cute too, but I really enjoyed the cube shape for this one. I needed a few more here to finish it off, And I string those together, tying it all together and attaching everything with hot glue. I decided to add a few more to the middle just to make sure I don't have any bowing and that my signs go together nicely. I have something to glue it to right there. So this sign is going to go right on top like that and kind of sandwich everything in. Now I did want to paint it too. I don't want to leave it just the natural wood. So I'm going in with some ivory and I am just going to paint all of my wood beads that you would be able to see from the outside. So not all the way around, just the ones here on the side and the edge of the sign itself of the cutting board. And I think that looks really good. Now, if you liked it in the natural wood, you could leave it that color as well. I'm also going to go ahead and paint the bottom of it with the ivory just to kind of have more of a finished look. Since it's going to be a tray that I'm going to be able to move around, I didn't want it to have a bottom that was a little bit messy. Now, I also go around the edge of my top cutting board sign too, just to make that all kind of blend together. And you won't be able to see like any of just the brown unfinished wood that was on the side of this. So I just kind of go around and paint the edge all the way around the cutting board before I go ahead and put this together. So now that I'm happy with the colors, I have to act quickly because I need to do this all in one step. So I do hot glue on top of all of the wood beads and then put the other cutting board on there as quickly as I can before my hot glue has a chance to seal up. Sandwiching that in, also pushing there in the middle so it seals that part so I don't have any bowing again. And I have this nice chunky cutting board and I love it with the tropical leaf pattern on there. I think that's so cool. Now I do want it to be a tray though, so I'm going to need to add legs. So to do that, I'm going to use some of the Dollar Tree mini Jenga blocks. I chose a total of 8 of them to make 4 legs. I'm just going to glue 2 of them together to make a little bit more of a solid leg than just one. And I just hot glue them to each other back to back, just like this. And I think 4 legs is going to be perfect for this tray. Once I got them glued together, I also go over them with some ivory acrylic paint as well, so they will blend into the sides and the bottom of my tray. And I'm also going to be doing lots of DIYs to decorate this tray for fall, and I'll show you how I styled it all as well. I just attach this to the bottom corner there. I go in a little bit from both sides and just attach this with hot glue. And this is going to make it a tray, raise it off the ground, and make it a really cute display piece. Now, the great thing about this too is that I did not make this seasonal, so you could use this palm leaf tray for any season. Because of course I like to bring coastal into every season. I get all 4 on there and I'm loving how this looks so far. It's really cute. There's just one area left to do, and that's this whole area here where there is the hole in both of the cutting board signs. I do need to cut that out. So I just go in there with my razor blade, cut that out, and then try to cut off any excess material and try to get the cleanest cut that I can. If you do have a few pieces, you can kind of tuck those inside. I just wanted to be able to add like a little rope there. I thought that would be cute, like a little cutting board hanger. So I go in there with some Dollar Tree rope and I just string that through and double knot it to make it like a hanger for a cutting board. It's going to give it another fun little coastal touch, and it can kind of just lay off to the side like that. Isn't that so pretty? I love that design. And it turned out really cute, just using a couple of signs from the Dollar Tree. Now, the first DIY I'm going to make for it is a burlap leaf DIY, and really easy using one of these metal signs from the Dollar Tree. Now, sometimes it's easier than not to pull these off, but this one was pretty easy. So I just pulled the metal sign off, and now I have a great display stand that I can use for one of these Dollar Tree burlap leaves. These are, I guess, the oak leaves, and the burlap is going to go perfect for my coastal fall. I'm just going to go in and remove the wire off of the back of it, just because I don't really need it. And then I can put hot glue right where that was at and glue that to this piece right here. I didn't want you to be able to see the brown part through the front, so I glued it to the white side of the sign, and we have our first DIY for that tray, a simple burlap leaf, which looks so cute. And it was so easy to do. Now for the next DIY, I have a Dollar Tree sign that I actually used the flamingo for something else on there, but that's okay because I'm going to remake it with a Dollar Tree window decal. Using Dollar Tree window decals are a great way to DIY your own sign. You don't have to use your printer. You don't have to use your Cricut machine. You can just use some items from the Dollar Tree to make a fun sign. I just popped this sign out and we're going to decorate the back of it, which is going to make it even easier. I have just this plain kind of faux wood surface on the back, and I just go in and paint mine ivory to kind of go with my color scheme for these coastal fall DIYs, and until I have good coverage. This is going to give me a great background for that window decal. I also don't want you to be able to see the flamingo sign that was on the back, and especially since it's going to be on a tray. So I just cover it with some of the cheap contact paper from the Dollar Tree that looks a little bit like wood. I cut it a little bit bigger than I need and then just use a sanding block to give myself a perfect cut all the way around. And it's just going to make the back of the piece look so much better. Once I get that done, now I can go in and attach my window decal. I'm going to put down a coat of Mod Podge all over my sign. And then I'm using this pumpkin sign here that says, "Leaves are falling, autumn is calling." It's got that perfect color of like light greenish blue. That's going to go so well with today's DIYs. I just make sure that it is good and smooth and I don't have any bumps in there. But a really cute little sign. I also go in and Mod Podge over the top of it, sealing it in, making sure that the window decal doesn't go anywhere. And it also takes away a little bit of the shininess from the sign itself. But a quick distress with a little bit of that ivory that we used before is going to help it look more, hand painted, part of the sign. So I just go ahead and distress that just a little bit. And then I had the frame for the sign, so I'm just going to go ahead and pop it back together. I put a little hot glue inside the lip and put my sign back in. So I DIY'd the back of it. So the front of it is actually underneath that contact paper. And it's a standing sign that I think is going to be just the perfect size for that fall tray and definitely goes well with the theme. Isn't that so cute? I love it. And these DIYs to style the tray are really fun. The next one, I want to make a sand pumpkin for the tray. So I picked up a Dollar Tree pumpkin. I didn't really care what kind. This is like one of the velour ones. I'm going to remove the velour. I just liked the size of the pumpkin and I liked the curly pumpkin stem on this. So I just go ahead and remove that pumpkin stem and carefully remove all the fabric too. I don't want to mess up the foam pumpkin underneath. Just removing all of the fabric. Now, I've made larger ones of these before, but sand pumpkins are really actually pretty easy to make. I'm going to use some school glue and paint that all over the surface of the pumpkin with just a foam brush. And then we're going to cover it with some of the Dollar Tree sand. Now, you can get school glue at Dollar Tree, but if you get it back to school season, like at Target and stuff like that, you can get it even cheaper. I always try to have some on hand because I like to use it a lot for sand DIYs. So I did the top half of the pumpkin. So I just sprinkle that part with sand. And I did have something down so that I didn't make a big mess with that. And then I'm going to go in and spray some glue on the top to try to keep the sand down a little bit. And add a little bit more sand to make sure I have good coverage from what had fallen off on my mat before. That looks pretty good. We can go ahead and start on the other side as well. Just adding school glue and sand until I have pretty good coverage. The fact that it's a white pumpkin helps as well because you're not trying to cover up any color or anything like that. This is the fun, messy part, sprinkling all the sand on there. And I want to make sure I fill in the top part as well. I really like the aerosol spray glue, but sometimes I have trouble finding it at the Dollar Tree for the top coat of glue, but I just sprayed it again, added more of the sand until I have good coverage. Then I can go in and reattach the pumpkin stem. I love it because it's like all gnarled and everything, but I thought a light distress of ivory would bring out that even better. So I just add that to it, gives it all that, brings out all that texture, and just kind of wipe off the excess. Isn't that a cute little pumpkin stem? And now I can just go ahead and attach that. I'm going to glue it on to make sure it stays put right here in the center of my sand pumpkin. And we have another fun fall DIY to display on that tray that we DIY'd. Let me show you how it looks with some of the other DIYs we've done so far. And I'm going to show you how I styled the entire cabinet. This is the next item I found. I actually got this one at Target Dollar Spot for $3, but I've seen similar acorns like this at the Dollar Tree. One thing I liked about this is that it was already kind of white and tan, my color scheme, but I thought I could make it even better. I thought it was a little too white and glossy, this part of the acorn, and so of course I'm going to paint it anyway. I painted ivory so it goes with the ivory color that we've used on the other DIYs that we made for this fall tray, and I display it right here in front of that little fall leaf. Really easy to do, and this tray is coming together really well. I also wanted to add a Dollar Tree sand dollar. This is one of the sand dollars from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. Sometimes they have a little bit of a gray tinge, so I'm actually going to paint this too with some more of the ivory, so that goes with my light beachy blue and ivory color scheme for this tray. And I'm just going to stand this up on the tray here for a little coastal touch. Now I also want to style like around the tray, so I have a few other DIYs here as well as finds. I found this actually at Goodwill, and I thought this would be perfect. I really don't even know what to call this. It's like a little broom, some kind of sweeper. I know it has a name, but I can't think of it. But I liked it for fall. I thought it looked really cute, so I just kind of trimmed up any fibers there that I didn't like, and I'm going to be able to stand this up next to that fall tray, and it gave such a fun little touch. Now, the next item that I'm going to use for that cabinet display is one of these seagrass pumpkins that I also found at the Target Dollar Spot for $3. It's like these little tiny ones they have at Dollar Tree, but I think it looks a lot better. This is, if you can't find it, you could always use one of these ones from the Dollar Tree, but I suggest replacing the stem on them because the one that's on there I think really makes them look like apples and not so much pumpkins. So I'm going to use that to style the tray as well, sitting that right here to the side. One more DIY for this shelf and it's going to be complete. I thought we could do a little fall vase. I found this great vase at Dollar Tree. It's got the glass bumps all over it. And I thought it looked a little bit coastal, something like an urchin. So I picked that up. I also picked up some greenery from the Target Dollar Spot that the colors are perfect. It's like that minty green leaf with ivory. So I thought that would look really cute too for this color scheme for this coastal fall tray. Now, instead of leaving it glass, I just painted mine all over with some ivory chalk paint for really good coverage to make it look like a ceramic vase rather than glass. Just makes it, I think, look a little bit more high end. There are lots of little bumps all over it, so I did make sure that I got pretty good coverage. And the greenery I'm going to use are these. Now, I'm sure you could find some good ones at the Dollar Tree as well that would go into that vase, but I thought these were perfect. And Target Dollar Spot can be a good source to find some cool stuff like this. I'm going to go ahead and trim them a little bit just because they were a little bit longer than I wanted for that vase. And I think I'm going to use like, let's see. I'm going to try to fill it up. It's not too big of a vase, so maybe 2 of the green leaves and 2 of the like ivory palms like that. Kind of alternating how they stick up. And this is going to be the perfect last piece to fill that section of my cabinet for the coastal fall theme. The coastal was just tiny pieces like the blues and the sand dollar and the palm leaf on the tray. But I love how it all came together. So let me show you how that looks. When you pick a color scheme like this to do all of your DIYs, you can really make them go together really nicely. And of course, the little subtle touches of coastal, I always really enjoy. Isn't that so pretty? I love it.
Okay, the next DIY, I wanted to make a simple wood pumpkin using some of these little oval-shaped wood plaques from the Dollar Tree. The reason I liked these is that they're super chunky. They kind of have a decorative edge, and I thought these would be perfect for a little coastal pumpkin. So I love a good blue pumpkin, so I'm going to mix a couple colors together. This is Caribbean blue and white together, and it gives me this nice soft color. It's pretty close to the color that I use from Walmart Apple Barrel called Cloudless, just a really light beachy blue. And we're just going to paint all three of our little wood plaques in that color. And when you put like three ovals together, it's going to kind of form naturally like the shape of a pumpkin. So this is going to be a really fun sign to make like a standing pumpkin sign. And it's nice and chunky, so it should be easy for it to stand up as well. Now, I love all the decorative trim on here, but you do kind of have to get in there and get all the paint in there. I think this would be really cute stain too if you didn't want to do like a painted version, because then you could see that beautiful wood grain through there. So now it's time to put it together. Basically, you put two of the ovals together like this. I'm going to use just this board to make sure they're level. And then you just stack one in the middle and see how that looks like a pumpkin. Easy peasy. And all it takes is hot gluing the top pumpkin to the two bottom ones. It's going to kind of glue all three of them together. I do recommend like a ruler so you can kind of keep your line straight, because if you want it to stand up, you're going to need it to be all flat on the bottom. Now, you know I have to give it a coastal farmhouse vibe, so we're going to distress this with ivory and a chunky brush and just wipe off any of the excess with a baby wipe. It's going to give me that coastal beach feel, perfect for a coastal fall. Now, basically, all of the structure is built with that. I just need to figure out a way to give this like a nice coastal pumpkin stem. So we're going to use some of the Dollar Tree brown rope for this. This is the thinner brown rope that I'm using. And what I'm going to do is just cut out several pieces of this to kind of make it look like an old withered pumpkin stem. So I'm just cutting these all down to size. I think 3 is going to be plenty. And let me show you how I go about attaching these. Basically, I'm going to glue all 3 of them together at the bottom like this. And then I kind of want to twist them. Not necessarily a braid, more of like a twist. So once I get them all glued together, I take 2 and I wrap that 2 around my 1. And you might want to use a little hot glue like I'm using to make it stay in place. And then I'm just going to keep wrapping those 2 around the first one. It's going to give me a kind of a gnarly, super thick rope pumpkin stem. And since I cut them all the same length, that centerpiece is going to be a little bit longer. And I'm just going to kind of glue all of this in place here at the end and snip off the end. And see how it looks like all kind of like twisted? I love that look. If you get a little bit too much hot glue on there and you have a heat gun, it's a quick, easy way to clean it up. And I think it's going to make it kind of, you know, arch over to the side too. Give it kind of a fun shape for a rope pumpkin stem. Going to attach it to that top sign right there in that kind of crevice on the back of it, where it can kind of go off to the right side a little bit. Like that. Now, every pumpkin needs like a little pumpkin curly cue. So I'm going to do that, but I'm also wrapping that wire jute from the Dollar Tree around the pumpkin stem just to make my pumpkin stem a little bit more moldable. But then I left that tail on it so that I could just wrap that around. anything like a pen shape. And it's going to give you that fun little pumpkin tendril for the top. But I'm also going to use it to help, give me more shape in our little pumpkin stem. Now this wire jute does like to ravel. You kind of have to be careful. Sometimes hot glue on the end can help. And then to finish off a beachy pumpkin, I thought one of the Dollar Tree starfish would be perfect. And I am just going to hot glue a white one right here in front, on the front of our pumpkin section. It is super easy coastal pumpkin sign. Isn't it so cute? And it was so easy to put together. Those little oval plaques are perfect for this. I don't have to do a stand or anything because it'll stand on its own because the pieces, again, were super chunky. And this is how it turned out. I think that the distressing really kind of added a little bit of a 3D effect to it as well. And this is how it turned out. You could always add a leaf to the top too if you felt so inclined. But I think it looks really great with my beach decor for fall. I want to do a square sign. I have this one I had left over from Christmas. Doesn't really matter what it is. I just wanted a square sign. And you could always use a blank sign from the Dollar Tree as well. I'm not going to be using this gnome one, so I thought this one would be perfect. And I'm just going to DIY the back of it and just remove the hanger and the staples back here to give me a, flat plain surface. And I just go ahead and clean up some of the paper from the sides of it as well. I want to make this a standing sign, and so there's a couple steps that I had to do to make it look like a board sign. The first thing I'm going to do is just paint it with some ivory paint just to cover up that wood and give me a nice background to be able to add that fabric to. Mainly I wanted the edges to be ivory, but I decided to go ahead and paint the entire thing to make it look a little bit better. And then I'm going to cover the glitter and all the stuff going on the back of the sign with just some of that wood contact paper just to make the back of it look better, because you will, be able to see that if you were to pick it up. So I just cut the piece bigger than I need and just use sandpaper to give myself the perfect cut all the way around. And I am going to make this a standing sign, so I'm going to be boxing it in as well. But I'm going to go ahead and start putting it together first. So it is a little warped. Since my paint was pretty new on there, I was able to kind of bend it back in place. And this is a Dollar Tree placemat in that beautiful like mint green color. And it's the perfect size to cover this size sign. So I just kind of line it up here in the corner to see exactly how big I need it and just trim it down to size. And I love crafting with these Dollar Tree placemats like this. They are great textures. They're a nice heavy duty material that look great on DIYs. I'm going to attach mine with Mod Podge, so I just do a kind of a medium coat of Mod Podge all over. This is a little bit heavier material, and I want to make sure that it stays stuck on there. And then I just glue it into place. I don't mind the like ivory edges around the sides. I was kind of trying to anticipate that, which is why I painted it first. So this is what it looks like so far. This is going to make the perfect background for one of the Dollar Tree wood leaves. Now, if you look at these at the store, sometimes you can find them like this with the beautiful like wood grain already in it, which is just going to save you some steps because you don't really have to stain it or anything. I love it like this. I think it looks perfect like that. So I'm going to have my leaf be like upright like this, but kind of off to the side a little bit. So I just put some hot glue on the back and attach that at the angle. It does have a hole in the top where the leaf was being hung before, but I can always disguise that easy enough. And I like to do that usually using just some twine and a bow up there. And then you don't have to worry about filling that in. Since I did have a little bit of bowing there on my sign, I also had to make sure that it was all glued down. And layering the two signs together always kind of straightens it out a little bit. Now it's time to make it into a box sign. I have 4 pieces of the Dollar Tree craft wood, and I'm going to use one for each side, and I'll show you how I put it all together to make a really durable sign out of just this thin Dollar Tree sign. So
I have 4 pieces. I'm going to go ahead and paint them before I attach them. I thought that would make it a little bit easier, and I'm just using ivory paint. You could always stain these as well because it has a great wood grain. I want it to look a little bit like driftwood, so I don't mind some of the wood coming through. I just wanted a little bit of ivory distressed on them as well. And so I cut down 2 of the pieces here for the top and bottom, going side to side, and I just attached those to the edge of my sign with hot glue on the end like that. And I do both sides opposite, trying to keep like a 90-degree angle. For the other 2 pieces of craft wood, I cut those down to size where they will fit just inside it like that. Also attaching it with hot glue, and I also use some of the small picture hanging nails from the Dollar Tree to make sure it is super sturdy by just nailing that into the next board. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. And it made it a really nice, durable sign. And it was really easy to do. This is that thinner wood from the Dollar Tree, not the really thick, chunky ones. And it worked perfect for this. So the last step I thought would be a starfish. I was trying to decide between a real one and one of the Dollar Tree ones. Either one would work. I really liked the real one that I got on Amazon, so I'm going to use that. Attach it with a little bit of hot glue to the center of the leaf to really give it that coastal fall vibe, making it kind of go straight up even though the leaf is to the side like that. And this is a really nice large coastal fall sign using just items from the Dollar Tree. Isn't this so pretty? I love the wood grain on the leaf. As you can see, it's got lots of warmth in there and different colors, and I didn't have to distress that part or do anything to it. And anytime I can add like a starfish or something to it, a project, I'm going to love it. If you wanted, you could always wrap the leaf stem there with a little bit of twine too, but since I use the twine at the top for the bow, I think that that is plenty. I'm going to take another wood pumpkin from the Dollar Tree along with some window clings, some of their removable white wood wallpaper, and I'm just going to use an old sign that I had laying around the house. You could always thrift flip. You could use a Dollar Tree sign, whatever you want. I like this one because it was wood, has sides. It's going to stand up on its own, give me that chunky sign if I want it. But I don't really like this sign very much, and the reason is because it's so glittery. I've had it hanging in my house in the past, but I decided to remake it. So the first thing is to cover up all that glitter, I just take the Dollar Tree removable wallpaper and lay it straight on top of our sign. And I made it, you know, bigger than it needs to be because then once I get it all on there, I can just use some sandpaper, just like contact paper, and it's going to give me that clean cut along the sides. Maybe a little distressed looking, but I kind of like that look, so that's good. And I'm just going to do that on all 4 sides. The sides of the sign were like white already, but at least that they didn't have glitter on them. I do like to sand that wallpaper a little bit too, just to kind of break up the color scheme on there. And then we're going to use one of these placemats from the Dollar Tree. I love these. They're like that beautiful like mint green color. And I want to use that to kind of make a background here for our pumpkin. But I want you to be able to see the wood behind it. So I'm cutting it down where I'll have like a little bit of the white wood border all the way around it. We're just going to be layering some signs here today. And you can kind of see the seam on that, so you can do a pretty good job of cutting a straight line on that. So that's going to be my touch of blue. These placemats can be a great way to add a little color to your project without having to paint anything. So I just hot glue that straight to my removable wallpaper. And then we're going to have the pumpkin go right on top. We're going to make a really easy little fall sign using some Dollar Tree window clings. Okay, now the finish that I want to give to the pumpkin itself, I kind of want to do that driftwood look with this one too. So what I'm doing is I'm just mixing some ivory acrylic together with some antique wax by Waverly
It gives you the perfect shade for driftwood. And we're going to stain this little wood pumpkin from the Dollar Tree, just going all over. You're definitely going to want like a flat surface pumpkin like this, not like the slatted or anything like that. And then I follow that up with a baby wipe to wipe off the excess paint so you can still see that wood grain through. Then we're going to distress it with just the plain antique wax by Waverly to give a little bit more color to it, just working in one direction and kind of following that up with a wipe as well, just to blend it all in. And then I'm going to go back and distress the whole thing with the original like ivory color that we did, and mixing all those shades together gives you a really fun little driftwood pumpkin. Now, you can add about anything to that. The window clings have like clear backgrounds usually. So we're going to just take some Mod Podge. We're going to do a very thin coat of Mod Podge over the pumpkin. And then I'm choosing the word Hello Autumn with like some little leaves over here. And I really like that color that autumn is written in. This is a great way you can make little personalized signs for any kind of season, even if you don't have a Cricut. And honestly, it's easier than a Cricut because you're not setting it up, cutting it, weeding, and all that kind of stuff. And you can kind of cut these and modify them however you want to. So I just went over the whole pumpkin again with more Mod Podge. I wanted to make sure that it was good and secure and not glossy. So that's why I'm going to go over it with even more Mod Podge. It gives you that matte finish if you get the matte Mod Podge from the Dollar Tree. And just going over the whole thing. Now we're going to put our little Driftwood Hello Autumn pumpkin on top of our placemat now. I'm just going to attach the wood sign. We're going to layer these with more hot glue, making sure I have enough because we're going to hang this up and I don't want this going anywhere. And then I thought it would be really cute to do like a little rope border around the pumpkin to add another texture, right? So this is the thinner white rope from the Dollar Tree, and I start right at the pumpkin stem. I'm just going to hot glue all the way around the edges of the pumpkin. I think it's going to give it just another little fun coastal feel. And I love like different textures and stuff like that with my crafting signs. So this step's kind of optional, but I really like how it turned out. So I went all the way around the pumpkin, hot gluing it up, kind of doubling up there for the stem of the pumpkin. And then I thought maybe a little coastal decor would be super cute on here. So again, those are the little starfish that I get on Amazon, available in my Amazon shop. And then I thought we could make it look super beachy with some seashells. You can get some really cute seashells from the Dollar Tree if you're not near the beach. I do both. I get them from the beach. I get them from the Dollar Tree. I kind of have a seashell problem. I have too many, so whenever I can craft with them, I'm always looking for an opportunity. So I wanted a good variety of different kinds of shells and shapes and colors, and then we're just going to hot glue those around our little pumpkin. And I really love the colors. I like it like the white boards in the back, the little touch of blue to provide a little bit of color there from the placemat. And I really love the soft shade of the stained pumpkin underneath. And nobody would ever know that was a window decal. It looks really good and professional. I really love all the seashells and like the starfish on the front. And this is how it looks hanging on my wall. Since this was kind of a standing sign, I could also stand this up for any kind of decor on a shelf as well.
And I will show you in a minute how it looks combined with some of the other DIYs that we're making today in my entryway for fall. It was really easy to put together, and I think it looks fun and coastal, which I really enjoy. For the next DIY, I picked up one of the classic jack-o'-lantern pails from the Walmart, actually, not Dollar Tree. I couldn't find any at Dollar Tree. And some of the Dollar Tree burlap rolls. I wish they had the round ones like this at Dollar Tree. I think I look for them every year and they never have them, but they're only a couple of dollars, I think, at Walmart. I picked up a blue one because I thought that was fun and coastal, but I'm actually going to be covering it anyway. There, I think it was $1.95, $1.98, something like that for this one. And I wanted to make a fun kind of fall and Halloween craft. So I wanted to light up, and I want you to be able to see like the jack-o'-lantern face light up. So the first thing I do is cut a hole here in the bottom of the jack-o'-lantern, something that's gonna be large enough for me to put one of the little Dollar Tree battery operated tea light candles in so that I can light up the face. I don't want it to be a real candle because what I want to do is cover the entire thing with burlap and make it a beautiful coastal fall pumpkin during the day. And during the night, it's a fun Halloween decoration too. So I just use my eraser blade, be really careful with this, and cut through. The plastic is pretty thin in most places on this. It almost cuts a little bit too easily, so definitely be careful. I just cut out the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. And the mouth has like a lot of black like paint on it, making sure I cut out all of that. I only want to leave the little jack-o'-lantern teeth. And that's going to light up with the eyes, the nose, and the jack-o'-lantern underneath the burlap is my plan if this works. Now, this is the rolled burlap from the Dollar Tree. You could also use like a burlap ribbon, kind of whatever you can find. If you don't have any of that, you only have like rolled burlap, you could always try to cut some strips. I don't really want a lot of fraying on mine though, so I think that this one's going to work perfect. I just start at the bottom of the jack-o'-lantern and attach that with hot glue, making sure I don't cover up where I want to put the candle in it because I want to be able to replace that if needed. And wrap it all the way around. I cut it off where, again, where the candle holder would start with the hole that I cut in there first. So basically I cut that first so I can kind of work around it. Now I'm going to crisscross here, kind of making an X, covering it again, leaving the bottom open. And I'm only attaching the burlap to the pumpkin on the bottom. That way I can kind of hide all my hot glue down here. Then I kind of crisscross it again, and I'm just going to keep wrapping it with the rolled burlap like this until I cover the entire outside. Now, the burlap roll from the Dollar Tree is a little bit wider than like a typical burlap ribbon, but I like the fact that it's going to have like different like little sections like that. I think it's going to make it look more like a pumpkin. So I just do that as many times as it takes to cover up all of the blue on it, and it's all kind of overlapped. I don't mind that the blue shines through the burlap a little bit. I think that looks cool. And then I just go back and kind of glue the seams of my burlap there, so none of them are sticking out and everything is like fit tight and closely next to the pumpkin just to clean it up a little bit. I'm gonna add my candle inside, and I wanted to make sure that this was gonna work before I went any further. So let's test it out. And it totally does. There's our little jack-o'-lantern face. I thought this was a unique idea to do with one of these little jack-o'-lantern baskets. If you have one laying around, you could cover it with just about anything. But my favorite part of this DIY is that it looks beautiful during the day. I'm going to make it look like a coastal burlap pumpkin for there during the day. So to do that, I'm going to use some of the wood stems from the Dollar Tree. I decided to put a couple of them together like that to make it look more like a gnarly pumpkin stem, just attaching them with hot glue. You could also use driftwood for this if you have any of that, or even like a stick from your yard. You can get really creative with your pumpkin stems. And then I want to use some of the Dollar Tree nautical rope. And I just kind of wrap that around it. It's going to give me a bigger, bulkier pumpkin stem like that, and I really wanted this to have a rope stem. As you can see, I left a little length on there before I started attaching it so I can use some of that for pumpkin tendrils. And I just cover the entire wood stem that I DIY'd, and we have a nice rope pumpkin stem. Now, if you unravel the rope like that, you're going to get some curly cues like that. I decided I only wanted 2 of them, so I cut one off. For the pumpkin leaf, I'm going to do tropical as well. So I picked up some of this fall foliage or foliage from the Dollar Tree. Definitely not fall. They have this usually year round. And I am just going to hot glue the leaves to it. I think the tropical leaves really adds a fun touch. And I just attach both of those with a little bit of hot glue. And then, of course, it's a coastal pumpkin. I want to decorate it with some more seashells here to finish off the look. So During the day, it looks really beautiful. And then during the night, you can light it up and you have a fun little jack-o'-lantern peeking out. It's kind of like a little surprise DIY, right? I also add a starfish. I pick up these little tiny starfish on Amazon. They are linked in my Amazon shop. I love them. They're great for coastal crafting, and this is how it turned out. Kind of fun, kind of different. I love it. I love the fact that I made it beautiful. So again, this is what it looks like during the day. Little secrets behind it, and this is what it looks like lit up. Totally different vibe with the little jack-o'-lantern face. And if you want to turn off all the lights, this is how the face kind of shines through, which is really fun. I hope you enjoyed this DIY. I had a lot of fun putting this one together.
I took a stick from my yard and a Dollar Tree little candle holder here. This is from the Shore Living line. They kind of have similar ones year round. I really wanted the blue color, and I told you a stick from my yard. Well, actually, it's from my neighbor's tree. I only have palm trees in my yard, but this fell in my yard, so fair game, right? And then some maple leaves from the Dollar Tree. Now, you guys know I love the blue leaves from the Dollar Tree, but for this one, I wanted to do like more of an ivory tan touch. So I'm just going around cutting all the leaves off. I don't really want any stems or anything like that. And these are a little bit different colors. This one's got like a little bit more orange in there, but I thought it provided a little bit of variety, but basically 2 packages of the Dollar Tree leaves. And then it's just as simple as putting your tree back together, right? So I'm just gonna glue the fall leaves on the little branches that naturally stick out of my stick. Try to find one with as many like little branches coming out as you can, and you can just make like a little fall tree. Now, this is really beneficial for me in Florida where we don't have fall, so I don't get any fall, leaves to decorate, so Dollar Tree comes in handy, but it also gives you that touch of fall that I'm not really gonna get when I go outside, so I think it's really fun. And I just keep following up. Every stem, I'm just gluing a different leaf, trying to pick good ones. It's okay if they're a little bit folded, kind of alternating the colors, the plain ivory ones from the ones that had like a little bit of orange in them as well, and just filling up my entire tree. I'm going to clean up some of the extra hot glue, and then we're going to put it in this little vase from the Dollar Tree or candle holder. First, I started with just some Dollar Tree tan sand. I think that's going to make it look beachy, but it also gives me something to stand the tree up in. So I just placed the little tree branch right inside, fill it up with more sand, and then to be extra coastal, just one more seashell, right? I'm using those little bottled seashells from the Dollar Tree. I want a variety of them in there, piling them on top. And this is how the little starfish come that I order from Amazon all the time. So you can see the variety of sizes. Sometimes when I get them, they're quite a mixture like this, but sometimes they're all tiny. But otherwise, I don't really care because I just love them. I'm going to use it to decorate the front of my little candle holder vase that we made, and just hot glue that right to the front. It's got like a little wire handle that comes down in front. And there is our little fall tree in my entryway. Isn't that so cute? And hey, the tree branch was free. Just 2 packages of leaves from the Dollar Tree and a Dollar Tree candle holder.
Really fun, and I love the way this looked next to my front door for fall. And let me kind of show you how it looks with my display of those other 2 DIYs that we just did as well. Really fun next to my whale. Now for the next DIY, this one's really simple. I picked up one of these fall pumpkin signs, and it's already got a little bit of a coastal color. I thought if I combine it with one of these light wood long board signs from the Dollar Tree, I can make a really cute sign. Again, Dollar Tree signs are often really thin, so when you can layer the signs, you can make them look a lot better. Now, the one thing I didn't like about these pumpkins is that the letters were all covered in glitter. So the first thing I do is I went over the entire sign with a coat of matte Mod Podge to kind of seal the glitter down. And then what I'm going to do is just go in with a white paint pen and just paint right on top of the glitter. It's going to disguise it. It gives me a template to be able to spell out the word fall on the pumpkins. I do love the fact that the pumpkins are the right colors, like the mint green, the blue with little pops of orange too. And then I go over it with some ivory to really make those letters pop, just using a small paintbrush and using the paint pen part that I did as just kind of a guide and background where to paint that. And in the end, you can't ever tell that these were covered in glitter. And it makes them look a little bit more coastal farmhouse, which was the vibe I was going for with this sign. Just touching them up to make sure that I have good coverage. And then I like things distressed, so I'm going to distress the entire thing with more ivory paint to really give it that coastal farmhouse vibe. And I want it to look a little bit older and less like the printed paper that the Dollar Tree signs can often look like. So I distress them and I wipe off any excess just with a baby wipe, just kind of leaving a little bit of distressing all over. And I like the fact that the sign that I'm going to use for the back of it is that light wood. I think that's going to go well with it. I also thought I could add a little bit more aging with some Antique Wax by Waverly, distressing that as well. And also sanding it to kind of just rough it up a little bit. Now, I thought that maybe I made my letters a little bit too dark, so I do touch them up with a little bit more ivory. So you might want to do that step before you do your final coat, because you can see it did make them kind of blend into the signs a little bit more, and I really wanted these letters to pop. So I just went over them with another coat, but I'm glad that I distressed them because I think it makes the pumpkins look really cool. Now I wanted to add a few more coastal touches to this as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is just put it together. So it's the perfect length. I just put some hot glue on the back. And it doesn't matter if you have a pumpkin sign like this or not because it's going to cover the cutout anyway. I just attach it with the hot glue and it just makes it look so much better again when you layer these signs. I also picked out some of these little chipboard pieces and little sea creatures that I thought would be a fun little touch to add some coastal to it. So there is a seahorse, a seashell, a sea turtle, and a dolphin. And I just distressed them in that same ivory color too to kind of go with everything else on this side. I'm going to attach one for each pumpkin. So there's 4 pumpkins, so I did 4 of the sea creatures. And you could always do the colored ones like these as well, because you can always just paint them whatever colors you like. Now, once I got that all together, I was trying to decide if I needed one more touch, and I love to frame out Dollar Tree signs with rope because it's going to make them look a little bit thicker and chunkier, and I always like that look. So I thought that would be a nice touch to add to it after the sea creatures. So here on this side, I'm just going to put some hot glue and attach the rope directly to the side. The hot glue does kind of set up quickly, so I only did half of the long side at a time to make sure that it doesn't set up before I get it attached. And this is the thinner white nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. You could probably use either one, but I thought this one looked pretty nice because it just made it a little bit thicker, kind of the thickness of the 2 signs together, so it went together really well. And I'm just going to continue that one piece of rope all the way around until it is framed off here at the bottom. Definitely a quick, easy way to frame any kind of Dollar Tree project, especially a coastal one, is to use rope like this. Very coastal and cute, and I love the colors on this one. As you can see, that aging really distressed each one of the pumpkins, which I like. I know some of you guys don't like distressing that much, so you could always leave yours without the distress. I think it would be really cute too. I love it. I think that's really fun. And I love the little sea creatures. I think those are my favorite part.
Now for this DIY, I wanted to make a coastal pumpkin. So I found this slatted pumpkin wood sign at the Dollar Tree. Some of the fall stuff is they're starting to run out of it at Dollar Tree. So this will probably be my last new fall DIY this year. And I am going to paint it with that same cloudless color. And I just kind of want to stain it. It's this beautiful wood, but I want it to be a beachy blue. And this is my favorite color of blue, as you know. Make sure I get in the grooves so I can kind of paint the slats in the back too. I was inspired to make this piece. I had designed with ChatGPT a beach image of a starfish pumpkin, and then I looked at what they came up with and I'm like, oh, I love it. I'm going to try to do the same thing with actual starfish and stuff. So I have one of these starfish left over from Shore Living. This one's already white, so it's perfect. At first, I tried to kind of just put it over the stem of the pumpkin like that, but I didn't really like the rope being in the back like that with the knot. It was going to kind of make it stick out from the wall. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that off and just glue it to the front. That way we can have this great starfish on the front. Now, if you have some of these left over and yours are like the red ones or the blue ones, they're super easy to paint. And you could even use the smaller white Dollar Tree starfish as well, but I really liked this big one. So I just glued that right in the center of the pumpkin. And then we are going to fill out the rest of the pumpkin with the little tiny seashells from the Dollar Tree. These are the ones that come in little glass bottles. I kind of want an assortment of different kinds of shells and sizes. And I also am going to add some little tiny starfish too. I get these on Amazon. These are linked in my Amazon shop below. I love crafting with those. They go great with these little tiny seashells from the Dollar Tree. So just trying to fill up the area, kind of symmetrical, but with different things. And glue these on. These little shells are super easy to glue on with hot glue. They just need a little tiny bit on one edge. And of course the starfish, a super tiny dot. I'm using my fine tip hot glue gun just because I don't need very much glue at all for this. And we're going to kind of just finish it up with seashells. Now you could also add sand to it. I thought about adding sand to part of the sign, but I really liked the beachy blue color. And so I decided no sand on mine, but sand would be really cute on the front of yours as well. And so easy. Our little starfish pumpkin is perfect for a coastal fall. And I love how the colors turned out. It's a nice small sign, so you could display this anywhere. Thinking about putting this one in my kitchen for fall. I think it's so beautiful.
And I really love those starfish. If you weren't lucky enough to get some in white like this, you could always take any of the other ones. They paint really well as well. And they look great here on a pumpkin.
Okay, this is going to be another kind of like fall Halloween sign. I'm going to do it like kind of like fall colors, but it's also going to have a jack-o'-lantern on there. So it's going to have a little touch of Halloween if you want a little bit of cute Halloween decoration. I'm going to put 2 of these wood shelves together. These are from Dollar Tree. I love crafting with these. If you put 2 or 3 of these together, you can kind of make whatever size sign that you need. And I wanted to kind of combine those with the little wood jack-o'-lantern sign from the Halloween aisle at Dollar Tree. So to get started, I wanted to do a little blue. So I'm going to use my favorite color of blue. This is Cloudless acrylic paint from Walmart, the apple barrel paint. And even though it's not quite a neutral color, it's going to go great with my fall decor. I have a little touches of blue here and there, but we're actually going to decorate the little jack-o'-lantern with some neutral colors. So if you don't like the blue, you could always stain your wood, or just painted ivory would look really cute too. Just going to do a bead of hot glue along one side of the shelf, and we can put the 2 together to make a nice large sign. And this typically turns out pretty sturdy, but if you want, you can always reinforce it. I decided to reinforce this one a little bit because it's going to be a wall hanging. And so I'm just going to do that with a Dollar Tree ruler. I love these wood ones because you can just pop off the stickers. And I'm just going to glue that on the seam on the back. It's going to make it nice and sturdy back here. Now this already has like the holes on it for the hanging shelf. So I'm just going to use those to make a hanger using the existing like white twine that came with it. And it typically works a little better to add a little hot glue to the tips to be able to string that kind of through. I like to tie my hangers just straight on the front like that with little knots. Now it's time to decorate the jack-o'-lantern. So I want to cover it in burlap. I'm going to use this rolled burlap that I had, but you know what? Dollar Tree also has burlap now, so you could totally use that as well. I just want a piece that's going to cover the entire piece. And I decided to just use that as reference, use a Sharpie, try to trace it out. That way I can cut the burlap before I attach it, because I don't want it to be like really frayed. And you know, burlap definitely likes to fray around the edges. So now that I have a template, I can just use my scissors to go around and trim that down. And we're actually going to be DIYing the back of the jack-o'-lantern, but we'll be using that jack-o'-lantern face for reference. So if you don't have this exact one, you could do this same thing with just a plain pumpkin from the Dollar Tree. I think that's going to work. Now, what I did was I'm just going to go over the entire surface of the back of the pumpkin with some ivory acrylic, because you know the burlap, you can kind of see it through. And I kind of wanted a little bit of a contrast between like the ivory background and the brown burlap. So just a quick coat of paint on the back of that. Then I'm also going to fill in the little hanging holes here with a little bit of spackle just to clean that up so you won't be able to see that through the burlap as well. Now for the jack-o'-lantern face, I'm just going to use a black paint pen, and we're just going to draw on the little jack-o'-lantern face. It's so easy. It's just a triangle for the eyes and the nose. And I'm using the actual sign as reference to kind of sketch this out, do a little toothy grin for our jack-o'-lantern, and then just color that in with my black paint pen. You could always use a Sharpie for this as well. It's going to give you that great, like, subtle, like, little jack-o'-lantern face on there. Just a fun contrast. And then we are going to attach this to the back. I'm just going to do that with a pretty thick layer of Mod Podge to secure that down. Just kind of spreading that all over and then laying the burlap right on top. Trying to make sure my edges don't fray too much. I want to try to keep it as clean as I can get it. Kind of pushing that down with a paper towel and then trimming up any little frays here along the edges that might be sticking out. And now it's time to attach that to our little sign. I love the burlap and the blue together. It totally goes with my color scheme here in my house. And I think it's just a really, you know, beautiful Halloween decoration. Not something that you would typically see. Now, the little holes in the sign were kind of bothering me, so I decided to kind of just use them as an element. So I'm just going to go ahead and use that twine that came with the shelves, stringing it through the back, knotting it on the front, and kind of just filling those in, just so it's just not distracting. You could also use spackle to fill those in if they were bothering you as well. Then I'm actually just going to add hot glue to the jack-o'-lantern face. It's going to be a perfect spacer to glue this right onto our little blue shelf sign. Now it's time to give it a little bit more decor. I'm going to use some of this raffia from Dollar Tree, but I actually got it at Goodwill. And make a cute little raffia bow for the top of this. And then I also want to give it a little bit of fall decor as well. So I just tie a simple little bow with that. I'm just going to attach it right over here to the side, something super sweet. And then I want to use fall leaves. I chose like the brown and like, or the tan and like ivory ones again. And I thought it'd be really cute to kind of have like little falling leaves like cascading in the blue sky around our little jack-o'-lantern. But the first one that I use, I just kind of use it as a pumpkin leaf, like gluing it right behind our little jack-o'-lantern. I'm also going to use some of the little fall colored berries up here just for a little bit added decor. Now I covered the pumpkin stem also with burlap, but I thought we could do something to that to add another little element to it to kind of go with the color scheme. And I decided to just use some Dollar Tree brown rope, just simply unwinding it. It's going to give me all these great like brown strings. Keeping that all together, I just hot glue that on, and it gives me a really cute little interesting texture there for the little jack-o'-lantern pumpkin stem. And then I thought more leaves, so I'm just going to cut some of these out. I kind of want to stick with like the ivory ones, kind of have them floating through the air next to the pumpkin, like that. And I just go around and attach those all with hot glue. Really beautiful little Halloween decoration that definitely works for fall and for Halloween. And it was really fun to put together. Here he is. I think he's super cute. And yes, that is my favorite color of blue. I love it. And this is how it looks hanging in my home. You think he's so sweet?
And if you just wanted to do yours a pumpkin, you could simply do some pumpkin lines on it instead of a cute little jack-o'-lantern face like this one. Now, the next DIY, I wanted to see if I could make a coastal pumpkin using one of the Shore Living hand tiles. So this is the one with like the coral, the starfish, the sand dollars all over. And it's kind of got the white background, but I love it. They seem to have this style every year. They might have a few different varieties of it as well. And I picked up one of the white floral foam pumpkins from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to simply wrap the foam pumpkin with the hand tile to give me that design. So I was trying to see about how much fabric I was going to need. Since this is a rectangular shape, I really need more of a square. Otherwise, I'm going to have way too much fabric. So just kind of measuring that out, I'm going to get started to cover this. I just poke a hole right here in the center of the pumpkin, somewhere where I can poke the material down into. And I just start here with my first side. And then I think I can cut off a good third of this material over here. And then I can continue this. So I'm going to pull it tight here on the side. As you can see, that's not quite long enough to go in the hole, but that's okay because it's enough to cover it. So I hot glue that on both sides, and then this time I just go ahead and put the extra fabric inside. I gather up my other corners here. I have a little bit too much fabric, so it's kind of best to trim that off before you go ahead and push this into the center of your foam pumpkin. But it's such an easy way to cover any of these Dollar Tree foam pumpkins with material without a lot of gluing or anything like that. You can just kind of use the tension of the hole there in the styrofoam to hold the fabric taut. So I do that with the other corners as well, just gathering it together, cutting off the excess fabric and placing the rest of it inside. And as you can see, I'm getting a great pumpkin shape out of that, where it's holding the fabric pretty tight. The fact that it's made out of that towel material too made it a little bit stretchy, which made it a little bit easier too. For the pumpkin stem, I'm just going to use a Dollar Tree wood stem. Just trying to pick out one that I think would look really good. You could also use like a little piece of driftwood for this. That would be really cute. Now I'm going to go ahead and use that same hole that we put the fabric in and just twist the wood stem in there. And I think that looks really cute. It was so easy to do. It's got the little coastal touches with the starfish and the sand dollars all over. And I really like the colors on this as well. Now it is really decorative, but I thought we could add a few more coastal touches to make it even more pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and take some Spanish moss and just kind of gather it, make it kind of come off to the side. It kind of gives you a little bit of, the Spanish moss or like a seaweed feel on that. And that makes like a great bedding to add even a little bit more decor to the top, which I always like to decorate the top of my pumpkins, especially my coastal ones. This little starfish I actually got on Amazon. It's one of their little molded ones. You can get them in colors like this too. I have the kinds that I use located in my Amazon shop in the description of today's video if you're interested in getting some of those little starfish like that. But I love that color and I think it's going to go nicely with this pumpkin DIY. It was so easy to make, and you could use any kind of the kitchen towels like that you could find. But since I was going for a coastal theme on mine, I think that the Shore Living one turned out so pretty. As you can see, it has like a really soft, pretty texture on the fabric, which really adds to the effect. And you can cover any of the foam pumpkins from the Dollar Tree, any of the sizes.
Okay, the next DIY, we're going to take one of these little stands from the Dollar Tree and a Dollar Tree wood leaf. And we're going to work our magic, make this little leaf look like an ocean scene. It's already kind of got a cool finish on it, doesn't it? Sometimes these plain wood products from the Dollar Tree kind of have a cool wood grain. Now I'm going to show you how easy it is to do a beach scene. Do not be afraid. Anybody can do it. All it is different colors of blue. I did a little Caribbean blue. I did a little turquoise. I mixed some ivory with that turquoise to kind of get that lighter. It was a little darker than I liked. I think this color is lake. And as long as you keep mixing your blues together, adding white if you want to do a lighter color like that for the sky, doing a beach scene is so easy. Because basically, I have like the abstract form now, right? Now I can just mix all those different blues together and then just keep blending between shades, and you're going to get that fun, like graduated look of the ocean. When you look out at it, has all these different shades of blue as it goes out. Sometimes you can't even see the horizon. It goes into the sky. I'm trying to make it look a little bit like there's a horizon there, but again, I want it to be super abstract. Now, if you need a little bit darker blue, you can mix in different colors. I mixed in kind of a more royal blue to kind of give me a little bit of shading back there, to kind of give it more the look of the horizon. And then I just keep taking those different shades of blue, using my foam brushes from the Dollar Tree, and blend them all together. Now, I always like a little sea foam up against my beach. And so I just use a tiny brush and a little ivory paint and just kind of speckle that on there, kind of making that look like sea foam. You don't want really a straight line because there's not like really a straight wave coming in at the beach. So you can kind of slope yours if you like that. And then you can also add some white caps and a white distressing all over your beach scene, just to add a little bit more dimension. And for the sand, I just left it that natural color because I think it's super pretty, right? Now to cover up the hole in the hanger, I have a little bit of white twine from, this is from leftover from one of those shelves that I craft with all the time from the Dollar Tree. It's kind of like macrame cord. And I just tied a simple little bow in that, and we're just going to glue that over the hole to kind of get rid of that. I think that looks cuter than trying to mask it because it never really wants to fill in all the way. Now I showed you the stand that we're going to use to display this. The beginning, I did get a little paint on the back of mine, and so since I am going to stand it up, I don't want it to look all crazy on the back, right? So I'm just using some of that lake blue color just to paint the back of mine blue, just to clean it up and make it look a little bit more professional here. And then basically we can just attach this wood leaf to that stand. I love these for display. They have a great stand. It's really kind of hard to get the metal circle off the back of these, but look how it's a perfect size to kind of hide behind the leaf. So I just put hot glue to the front of it, and we're going to hot glue the leaf here. I kind of want it at an angle like that. I think that's going to look really pretty. And just making sure that's all glued down. Isn't that so cute? And it makes it stand up on its own. It's not a very heavy leaf, so I think that's going to be plenty strong to hold it. Of course, I wanted a few coastal touches here at the bottom. So I'm going to use some of those little bottled seashells from the Dollar Tree. I like to organize mine in one of these little toy organizers. It makes them easier to craft with when you want to just grab some. And I'm going to use a variety, kind of filling out the side that doesn't really have anything over here, a little farther away from the leaf. And there it is, my little ocean scene leaf for fall. I think it's so pretty, and don't be intimidated by the ocean scene. See how abstract that is? Honestly, anybody can do it. One of my very first DIYs when I moved to Florida was remaking a painting that for my house, and I did an abstract ocean scene like this, and it really gave me a lot of confidence because it was so easy to do. But I think it turned out really pretty. What do you guys think?
Now for the next DIY, I thought we could do like a thankful project for Thanksgiving, but with a coastal fall vibe. I'm going to take one of the Shore Living plastic dishes. I love these, the seashell ones. I have a stockpile of these. I love them. I didn't see them this year at Dollar Tree, but they've had them every other year. I hope they bring them back again because they're really fun to craft with. I'm going to combine that with a Dollar Tree candlestick in light beachy blue, and I want to make a little thankful project using seashells. So The first thing I'm going to do is paint this with like an ivory color here on the back. As you can see, it's like a cheap plastic, but it's also like an iridescent on the back. And I want to make it look kind of like a real seashell. And that's one thing I love to do with these. You can see it still has that great texture after I painted ivory. Just going to touch this up a little bit more to make sure that I don't have any spots of the plastic shining through on my final shell. Then I also want to go in and add some texture. So I'm going to go in with some Antique Wax by Waverly, and I'm just dragging that over the like lines of the seashell so I can bring out all that texture. And I can always go back and kind of wipe off the excess if I get too much on there. But I really just kind of wanted a distressed look and kind of just blend it all in just like that. Now, since I did paint on plastic, you have to kind of be careful as with your baby wipe when you're wiping that off, because sometimes you can take all the paint off too, but that's okay. I just went in with like my original color and touched it up a little bit more. Now that looks pretty good. This is what the inside of my shell looks like at this point. It's like iridescent, and I like it because I think that makes it look like a seashell. I was trying to decide though if I could tone down the plastic look a little bit. And so to do that, I'm just going to go all over with some matte Mod Podge just to try to take the plastic element of it away, make it look more like a shell. But I still got a great iridescent color out of it once this was dry, but a little bit more of a matte finish, which is what I was going for. I want to use this to make a tray by putting it on the Dollar Tree candlestick to hold thankful seashells. I thought that would be a fun thing to start for Thanksgiving and have for fall in my home. This is how my seashell looks right now. I love it. And now, since I'm gluing it to the ceramic candle holder and I do want it to be durable, I'm going to use some E6000 just to make sure that it holds properly. And I'm just going to add some right here around the edge of the candle holder at the highest point. And then simply sit my shell on there. But I'm also going to add some hot glue to the middle section for some fast hold until the E6000 has some time to set up. Makes the perfect tray. One reason why I love these. So Dollar Tree, come on, bring back the shell plates. I don't know, maybe I just missed them this year. Everybody was in such a mad rush to buy it all. And so I'm just going to set that aside and let that dry, and we can start with seashells. These are just some seashells that I have from the beach. They're nothing special. They're kind of like all bleached out ones, which are perfect for this. And so I'm just going to go in and clean them up. Make sure they don't have any debris on them, and I have enough to fill up my giant seashell with smaller ones. This is the color that I go in to paint them. It is Cloudless by Apple Barrel. I love this color. I think it looks really coastal, but of course you could do this with any color that you like. I'm just going to go in and paint them one by one, making sure that I get kind of into the grooves on all of those to make them look like blue seashells. It's just going to add a pop of color to this project and fun, because who doesn't love a blue seashell? That would be fun, right? Once I get them all painted, I'm going to kind of start the thing by putting things that I'm thankful for inside the seashells, and then encourage other people to add to it as the fall season goes on. Kind of like a thankful tree, but with seashells. So once I got them all painted, I decided to kind of touch up the other side just a little bit, just to make them look a little bit more finished. I am going to leave the inside white, which I think is crucial to be able to write on them properly and be able to see a good contrast. But I did want to go in and kind of just touch up all of the edges as well. And to do that, I'm actually going to use a Sharpie. I do think that some sand would be nice though, so I fill in the giant seashell with a little Dollar Tree tan sand first, so I have something to sit the seashells down into. And I'm going to use my blue Sharpie to start adding things that I am thankful for inside of here. So I was trying to think of some fun words to get us started. So, you know, things like family, of course. And different things that I thought of right away. but I'm only doing it to, you know, get us started, so that other people can go ahead and add their favorite things that they're thankful for as well. I did some kind of generic things, but things that were special to me, like my family, the beach, my house, food, of course, love. The rest of them I'm going to kind of scatter in here. You can kind of do them face down like that because they haven't been filled out yet. It's going to add some color. You could add as many as you want to this project, but a fun coastal fall project that's perfect for Thanksgiving. I'm going to display mine with the blue Sharpie, and so other people can add their thankful shells to it as the season continues. This would also be really cute to have for Thanksgiving Day, and everyone can fill one out. Just a really fun, fall-inspired, but also coastal Thanksgiving DIY. And I will be having some videos come up of specifically Thanksgiving Day DIYs if you want to decorate for Thanksgiving as well. Now it's time for the final reveal. I hope you enjoyed today's DIYs. Please let me know which DIY was your favorite down in the comments below. And you can find me on Crafty Beach on YouTube on all social media. This is also the QR code if you would like to buy me a coffee. Enjoy the final reveal.
Open up the window. I'm breathing in the last of September. I can feel the wind blow, and the late summer sky is like a giant ember. Everything is turning into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase, it puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. Since I was a little child, every year for as long as I remember, all the leaves were running wild, going all the way until November. Turn the world around us into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase, it puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. September. Summer's ended, the leaves are turning brown. Red and yellow, soon they'll be falling down. Now, I'm not ready, not just yet. I'm not ready for autumn. Autumn comes too soon. Autumn comes too soon. The light that flickers will blow out with a sigh, and all that blossomed will wither away and die. Not now, I'm not ready, not just yet. I'm not ready for autumn. Autumn comes too soon.
Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of today's fall crafting marathon. I'd also like to give a huge thank you to my YouTube members for supporting my channel. Thank you to Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Donna Schreiner, I Am Mojo Jojo, Marin Christensen, Adrian Brolt, Debbie Middleton, Donna Tanner, Kim Rogers, Red Mama, Pal Puppy Life, Renee Albanese, Mindy Hupp, Jenny, and Debbie Austin. I really appreciate each and every one of you. If you would also like to become a Crafty Beach Bum member, all you have to do is hit the join button next to today's video on your phone or your computer. You're going to get early ad-free access to my content here on YouTube, a badge next to your name when you comment down below, and a shout out in every video, and you're always free to cancel at any time. And we would love to see your DIYs. Be sure to share your DIYs with us in our private Facebook group, linked in the description of today's video, along with chapters if you would like to go to a specific DIY that you saw in today's video. Now, if you would like more fall crafting inspiration, I've got you covered. Be sure to check out one of these DIY videos right here. And until next time, happy crafting for fall.